photo. You have the article clip source there.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
What's squeaking?
This.
Oh.
Guten Tag, Robert Hoffman.
And I hear Liz's iPhone's going nuts.
Uh-oh. Well, someone outside my house is blowing leaves, and there's a dog barking.
Yay! I don't hear anything, though.
Okay, good.
Well, it's just about time for Jeff's gardener to come around and...
Exactly.
No, that's only on Sundays, I think.
Oh, okay.
Well, I was going to say, you can tell he's at his mountain retreat. So
Yes. I'm at my mountain retreat, yes.
He probably doesn't do a lot of gardening in the snow.
No.
It's the
They're
ice
blowing
sculpture
snow,
that
though.
you'll have to look out for. Show up with like the chainsaw and start carving into the block of ice.
I should tell everybody hello on in our live audience. Do not expect the show to start like any moment.
Again.
Or, well, no, it will eventually.
Or on time ever.
Well,
if it does, that's a treat.
They know that. They know better than that, right?
I'm just saying for anyone who's, not familiar.
This is, Liz says this is not PTUK.
Rick is asking if Rick is joining. Rick, you're there, mate.
Oh,
You've joined.
I'm confused.
I don't understand your question.
That's very confusing.
You found us. Welcome.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, Rick, now that you're in the chat room, would you do the thing and get on the actual show with us?
Yes.
Come on. You've done this before. Do we have to go over it again?
Rick's Boeing has let him down again. And again, and
here we
again,
go.
and again, and again, and again, and again, and again.
Carry on.
Yeah. So
it broke.
So did you say something about a Boeing?
Oh, very good, yes. Very good. I still have a little gift to give to Rick, which I had bought when he was on the show the first time, and we hadn't actually got together again. I've held on to it for a considerable time now, and I'm still waiting for him to pitch up, or us to bump into each other so I can give it to him.
I hope it wasn't alive, and if it is, that you poked holes in the box.
No, it was just a small joke gift.
Ah, the Boeing thing reminded you. The spring. It must be a spring.
Boeing, yes, it was a.
It's a spring. Ring.
It's one of those, little rope bracelets made by a company called Boeing.
Ah.
Well,
Jeff
it looks
says,
like
I done. I'm just trying to figure out what Jeff, the guy that spells his name wrong.
Premature send there in the chat.
I done know. All right. Why is it not coming up?
Well, it looks like the broken Boeing was fixed, but
good.
I don't know what that
means.
But
where was he with that broken Boeing?
Cincinnati?
Oh, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I see the photos. Okay. How am I going to do this?
I see that we talked about this guy that rejected his takeoff at East Midlands. I see that the inquiry agreed with our estimation as well, which was quite interesting.
Good. It's about time they start agreeing with us.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Are you sure they didn't just watch the show and then they're like,
okay, we got a report.
We don't have to do any more work. Stop. Just write down what they said.
I'm sure that's what happened. It's got to be it.
In fact, we're going to have a Zoom conference, and we're just going to play this piece of video from the Airline Pilot Guy show.
Perfect.
Oh, we do have illusions of grandeur, don't we?
Very much so. Says Captain Jeff in his ski lodge.
Who says that?
I'm just in a bloody blizzard. A bloody blizzard.
You are.
sir.
It's kind of disorienting me.
I never go anywhere. I'm just at home.
Yeah. Well,
Are
actually,
you okay,
you know,
Steph? Are you okay? You look a little melancholy.
Am I?
Yeah.
No. I'm just
Okay.
distracted by a piece of Velcro that was stuck to my pant leg down here. I was trying to remove it without it making a bunch of
Steph
noise.
is easily distracted.
Okay. Why don't you go
So
ahead
that
and
it
just
would not-
take care of that now before we start the show?
Do you hear that? Or no?
No?
Actually,
Okay. I was afraid it was going to make a lot of noise with the Velcro, and I was trying to, like, just subtly fix the issue.
Ah, okay. 'Cause I can
Apparently,
tell you're concentrating on
concentrating.
something. Yeah, I could. That look, it wasn't your normal passive aggressive look toward me.
Not the normal.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll try harder next time. Okay, I think I have some pictures of the Spirit Airbus that slid off the runway. Not that it matters if what kind it was. It was
well, I have
Probably had more to do
no,
with the ice than anything else.
probably a lot more to do with it. It could
I
have
have no
easily been a
loyalty
Boeing.
anymore.
I know you don't. I
No,
don't either. I don't. I mean, I'm so confused. I fly an airplane that is not a Boeing, but it has a Boeing nameplate on it.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I know what
Whatever.
that feels like.
yes, you do. What did they have? Did they have the Boeing nameplate slapped on that F-18 when you were flying it, or after?
No,
you
it
had
was
flown
all still McDonnell Douglas.
it? Okay.
I still got some lovely coasters with McDonnell Douglas written all over it.
Oh, good. Okay, let's see here. Just trying to get. Let's see, Liz. I was able to between the time that I came home today, which was not that long ago, and now I was able to do the coffee fund overlays. And so when I do the coffee fund, if you'll throw those up there, and then it's not too complicated. I think I can remember. It was just one on each. So, and yeah, okay, thanks. The Patreon one, never really completely worked that out. So I'm going to use generic terms until we do get that all settled. If that makes any sense. Oh no, Jesus is off to be an adult. Don't do it.
Boo.
Don't do it.
Stay here with us, juveniles.
Does that mean he's off to an adult show?
Don't
Might.
think that's what he said.
Childish show.
I see.
Off to do what to an adult? What?
Just adulting.
Okay.
Adulting, yes.
Okay.
Adultery.
Well, I don't know about you. That's
Different
pretty adulting.
You know, this background of mine reminds me of making an approach in a snowstorm, and you know where all the snowflakes come straight at your
Come
face,
right at you.
and very, very distracting because you keep focusing on things that are like 3 or 4 feet in front of the windshield.
Because it's so cool to look at.
It is cool to look at, but it's very distracting.
Yeah. I had a takeoff just a few hours ago that looked very similar to that. although the sky wasn't quite that blue, and I really couldn't make out the little snowflake shapes as I can with your background video.
Your eyesight is still very good. That's all I can say.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Let me do some sound check. Oh, let me start my recorder. And let me make sure that... Okay. You're not going to like this.
Go.
Hang
Ah,
on.
don't like it.
Oh, is that one of
Make
your
it stop.
special
Got it.
video effects?
This is my camera shutter, my camera lens. What do they call it? Lens cap? The back of my computer
I
monitor.
can't see anything through my camera. Take the lens cap off. Step 1.
Just wanted to make sure that this was recording. I couldn't remember if I put the card back in the thing or not. Okay. Hello.
That's very good.
Okay. let me.
A new version of Audio Hijack is ready to install.
What? No way. Again? Another one?
I don't think I ever install it. It's the same one every time. So every time I
Rogue
reopen
Amoeba they're so busy. They're constantly making updates to Audio Hijack. Apparently.
Uh-oh. I screwed up. No,
Oh, no.
Screwed up. It's okay.
What did you do?
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
I don't like it when you say that. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Look the other way.
It's fine. Definitely fine.
It's fine.
Nothing.
Okay.
I didn't break anything. I didn't screw anything up. I promise.
I know. I'm not believing you. You're not convincing me.
It's all good.
Let's see.
Everything's fine.
All day long.
All right, here's
You're
Roger.
listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
The View.
Is that too loud?
No.
Okay. And thank you. Oh, look, we must be getting close because Liz took the pre-show banner off. Yeah, I got the hint.
She can sense. Or it's just her attempt
She's
to, her
pushing me
passive-aggressive
around.
attempt to
Yes.
prod us.
Passive aggressiveness
yeah.
at its best.
She's like, maybe they'll notice that I changed the banner.
Oh, that's right. We need to. Is that anywhere in our notes? No, it's not. We'll just. Thank you. Yeah, and then when we talk about those Wright brothers from Dayton, Ohio, we'll have to definitely mention that their first
Who did
flight,
their first flight in North
117
Carolina.
years ago, was in
Kakalaki.
North Kakalaki, right?
I don't think if they'd flown from Kakalaki, anyone would take them seriously. They'd go, yeah, okay, it's another joke. Put a cheese on your head or something.
Liz is telling me that it has been confirmed that they were born in Dayton, Ohio.
Is that right?
I mean,
I
not
mean, it's
just
a
the
nice
bicycle
place
shop.
and all. I'm not.
No, I mean,
I've got
I
nothing
think you
against
made it very
Dayton.
clear, Steph, that you hate
It's just not
Dayton
where.
and you hate Ohio and Ohioans.
It's not true.
Yeah, Jen, really,
Liz.
no, seriously. You should hear the way she talks about you when you're not around, behind your back, because you live in Ohio. You too, James. It's really disgusting, and I hate that I have to. Yeah, not passive aggressive. It's aggressive aggressive. You know, Steph. Come
Well,
on.
in my defense. No, I have no defense.
No, I was thinking, what is she going to come up with here?
I got nothing.
Yeah,
I like
I
Ohio.
got nothing. Okay, I know you do. I'm just kidding. You know, Steph, she would never say a discouraging word.
Definitely not.
And the skies are not cloudy all
Never
day.
is heard a discouraging word.
And the skies are not cloudy all day.
Wait,
Is it not
hey.
cloudy all day? Right?
I don't know.
I
It's
make it up
cloudy.
as
It's
I
been
go
cloudy all
along
day
myself.
here. That's all I know.
I do not
don't
want
know
to
this
All right.
tour
Just-
of great new
Okay.
features.
A cacophony. What?
There's a window
What new
popped up
features?
on my snowstorm. Oh, sugar.
Way to go there.
You broke it.
Nice.
Yeah, I did.
I have to say that
Shush.
this green screen effect thing on these ATEM mini switchers, it's not the most intuitive, because every single time I try to do it, it's like I have to remember exactly which buttons to push to make it happen.
Yeah, I'm the same. And the one I keep forgetting is actually the hard key called key, which
Yeah.
I look at it and go, what's that for? Oh, yeah, it's the chroma key.
I have keys. I have too many keys as it is. I don't need another one.
Exactly.
All right.
That was a silly name for it.
Well, sadly, I don't think this thing is going to get any better. So we may as well go ahead and start the thing
Before it gets worse.
before it gets even worse. Yes. Okay. Let's see. Intro. Okay. And then, if you're wondering, you're not alone. We are as well. We're wondering whether Rick is going to be able to join us today. We had planned for him to be here, but had some delays and stuff in his flying today, so we're not sure. We'll cross our fingers, hope that he'll join us at some point. So, with that, let's start this baby.
You're listening listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy episode 453.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy show, the view from our side of the cockpit door, with your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from Studio 1A at APG headquarters in Roswell, Georgia. Today's show was recorded on the 17th of December, 2020.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Put your light and it's flying by. With the Airline Pilot Guy.
In today's episode, an intruder climbs onto the wing of an Alaska Airlines jet that was getting ready to leave Las Vegas. Officials are out with their final report on a Southwest Airlines uncontained engine failure. More news, your feedback, and today's plane tale. So get all settled in. Tray tables and seat backs in the upright and locked positions. Electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 453 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger. He's an award-winning, Emmy award-winning, that is, radio and TV reporter, currently at the #1 all-news station in the nation, 1010 Wins.
New York City!
Yes, New York City. I'm Captain Jeff, a pilot at a major legacy airline based in Atlanta, and this is the Airline Pilot Guy Show, a podcast covering the latest in aviation news and answering your great feedback. And joining me from her lakeside studio in South. Wasn't quite ready for that one. Doctor, skydiver, marathon runner, strength training junkie, IPA connoisseur, and commercial multi-engine instrument rated backstabbing jumper dumper, Dr. Steph.
I'm going to have to remove a few things from
a
my
lot of
title.
stuff.
I feel like
Okay.
one of these times you're going to pass out before you get to the end of saying all of that from lack of oxygen, from not being able to
Aw.
breathe.
It's nice you're concerned about me.
I'm always concerned about you.
Appreciate that.
Good to see you.
In so many ways. All right, and also joining us from across the pond in his studio in the English countryside, professional photographer, former RAF, RAAF fighter pilot, retired captain for an international airline based in London. It's Captain Nick.
Oh, hi there, Jeff, and hi, Steph. You know, every time I hear Steph's intro, I feel a bit inadequate. I want to go and live somewhere like Kakalaki. So I'm actually thinking of moving to somewhere like Little Snodgrass or something.
That would be nice. Although there's plenty of room there in Kakalaki. All day long, they sing that
true.
song.
I'm sure
Oh,
that we
there you
can
go.
find some mildly insulting sound clips about wherever
Yeah.
it is that you live.
We could do that.
Can't wait.
We need to get the staff. Get on that.
Yeah.
The
All
intern
right.
is on it. I don't know who our intern is.
What was I going to say? Well, you know, today is the 17th of December. I just realized it when Roger was introducing the show. And it is the 117th anniversary of the first flight by the Wright brothers in North Kakalaki. Now, they don't talk about Kakalaki in the history books. They should. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
See.
would be
Definitely
much
on the
more
show.
amusing if they had flown
Y'all,
from Kakalaki.
y'all poke fun, but we have some important things that happen here from time to time.
No,
117 years ago.
Do you think we're poking fun? I like. I mean,
No,
I
I
don't,
not at all.
I don't view that as poking fun, really.
Not at all. Having
I mean,
fun
I
with.
wish I had a song like
Let me
that. For
let me
Roswell.
rephrase. Having fun with.
Having fun with
Yes.
Roswell.
Not the same
Roswell
ring.
all day long.
Doesn't have the same ring
No,
to it.
Not working.
No.
No, doesn't do it for me
We'll come
either.
up with something.
Okay, we're going to work on this, folks. It's a show. It's a work in progress. We like to say.
But I'm glad you
And-
did
Not
emphasize.
for-
I'm glad you did
After all this
emphasize that it
time.
was Kakalaki because let's be very clear, first flight in North Carolina. Just want to
Yes.
emphasize that.
Do you do? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we were before the show started. We talked about Steph's hatred for all things Ohio. So
It's true.
it's now time for the news.
It's true.
Stand by for news.
All right, let's start with this very unusual thing that happened. And for
So
this,
unusual. We've had about half a dozen on this show before.
yeah, well, almost every show we have unusual things happening. So let me share my screen so that we can watch a video of this very strange thing. Where is it? Here, let's see. Yes, here we go. And hit play. Oh, yeah, I'm not either. That's really weird.
All these people
Sorry,
are
folks.
talking in the dark.
It's just very dark.
It was nighttime.
I thought
No moon.
I thought there
All
was
the
a
window
full
shades
moon,
were closed.
but apparently not. It was a new moon, not a full moon.
And the cabin crew are going, no, open your windshields, your window shades for takeoff, please.
That's weird. Why is it that's not playing on the share screen thing?
Is it
Okay.
the new version of Evernote?
No, I'm not even. It has nothing to do
Oh.
with Evernote.
Oh, okay.
But well, we can, but you know, it wouldn't be right to blame them because it's not their fault, as far as I know. Let's see. Let me see. Actually, that's not the one I want. I have two videos to play for this news item, and that was the second one I was going to play. Let me see if I can get the VAS Aviation one to work. So hang on. Share screen again. I'm going to give it another shot. Application window, and
I'm going to
do
start
this
drinking.
one. Okay.
Way ahead of you there, Nick.
Well, hang on then. Let me. All right. Got one. Hey, did I, Nick? Did I put one of those in the box for you too? That Liz sent. Oh, perfect. Okay. Just wanted to be sure because I just saw this. I put my beer into it right before the show, and I'm thinking, did I remember to put that in that box?
Yeah, there we go.
That was Liz's gift. Okay.
Thank you, Liz.
Okay, still. Oh, yeah, but I think it's going to work. Hang on. Okay. So now back to our show in progress. VAS Aviation. Real ATC audio.
Alaska 1367, Las Vegas Tower. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, for Alaska 1367, we got a guy out here on Alpha 8 on the south side of runway 8 left.
1367, say that again?
Say what?
Do you see this guy out here at intersection Alpha 8 between the runways? He's now entering the runway and walking towards us with his hands up.
It's normal.
1367, no, I don't see him. We're looking. Hold short runway 8 left at Alpha 8.
We're holding short, and he's off of our nose about 300 yards. And he's on the runway.
Any county mobiles on freak?
Ooh.
Is he walking towards you, Alaska?
Yes, he is. He's in the middle of the runway.
Alaska 1367, you are cleared to do whatever you need to do if you want to get on the runway or taxi away from this individual that's approved.
We're not going to do that. We're going to wind up shutting down the motors. He's running at us right now. We need security out here ASAP.
It's on the way. You're going to have a county mobile vehicle here off your right side in just a moment. That's 4712, contact departure.
Departure for Southwest 4712. We didn't see him when we departed.
4712, roger, contact departure, thank you.
Thank you.
Going to have a vehicle there in about 1 minute. Mobile 10, proceed on runway 8 left. You can expedite through that intersection. Next traffic's on a 4-mile final for 1 left.
Mobile 10, copy on. And guys, he's directly to the left of us right now, right next to the airplane.
We see him. There's a vehicle on his way.
Aircraft control, have that aircraft shut down his engines. He's trying to climb up on the wing.
Alaska 1367, shut them down.
Yeah, our motors are already shut down.
I was going to say, you already
Thank
said
you.
that.
Have that aircraft shut down. Engines. He is on top of the wing. He appears to be drugged or under some kind of intoxication.
The pilots or the guy on the wing? And, just to be clear, I think they should shut down the engines, which is what they told them, like, right off the bat, that they were going to shut the engines down. Anyway, there's more to it. We'll have a link to the Bass Aviation, liveatc.net communications, and such in the show notes. But now let's play this other video where someone in the airplane was filming with their probably their phone camera, and we'll watch that. And this is kind of crazy, actually. Here we go, and share. Okay, and yes. So there's a guy climbing on the winglet. Kind of makes you, and this is a 737.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stop. They're coming forward. They're going to have to exit the wing from the wing exit. Thank you, sir. So please stand by, stay clear. You can go to row 13. Go to row 13.
There's some commotion in the airplane.
I filmed this in portrait.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Okay, so he's sliding down the winglet, and then he falls, and yeah, thankfully they didn't show us the whole.
Oh, there is a
him
longer
hitting-
version of this video where you can see him actually hit the ground.
Hitting the
Oh,
ground.
and the beginning here too, where he takes his shoes off, is a real. He's
So
trying
I'm
to
not
climb
sure
up the
where-
winglet at first, and he can't do it with his shoes on. So obviously he takes his shoes off, and then rolls his pant legs up for
Throws
better
them on the
traction.
ground.
Yeah.
But where does he think he's
Nobody
going?
knows anymore.
I don't know.
I mean, it's kind of a dead end. You can kind of see that from where he's standing. That it's
Well,
not
if I can get
leading
on top
to
of the
anywhere.
winglet, they can't get me. Just stay there
Oh,
forever.
yeah. Good point. Good point. I can see your thinking now.
Oh, this is so nice.
Unfortunately
and
for this
smooth.
person, what happens in Vegas did not stay in Vegas. Everyone knows about it.
It was quite a party that he went to last night.
Hmm.
Oh, ow, ooh.
Yeah, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not, that's probably enough. Okay. If you want to watch all the details, we'll have these two videos in the show notes. Whoops. Okay. Now it's full screen on my computer. I can't see anything else. Oh, okay. There we go. Excuse me. So, the last time you did something like this, Steph, can you kind of take us through it? What you were thinking? I know that you love going to Las Vegas.
I've been to Las Vegas a few times,
Uh-huh.
but definitely what happens in Vegas, for me at least, stays in Vegas.
Obviously, it stayed there because I don't recall you telling us about this.
Yeah, I'm just glad that no one had cell phone video of it, and it didn't make it onto major news networks.
Yes.
To be clear,
Yes, she-
nothing like that has ever happened to me in Las Vegas.
Liz said that she did get the help that she needed.
Yes.
That's good. Now, here's a snapshot of the gentleman who appears to be performing in some kind of a musical or something. And he looks like he
looks like he's mid-song, right? Like just.
Yeah, I mean,
or
it kind of
dance
reminds me
number.
of it kind of looks familiar to me, like it reminds me of something. Oh, that's it. Yeah, Elf on the Wing.
Excellent.
We have fun.
Excellent.
Yeah. Anyway, what else to say about this? Obviously, this person is not mentally stable.
I don't know. I hope he got the help he needs.
Yeah, me too. They said that, interestingly, they said that they took him to the hospital for some minor injuries. And I'm thinking, minor injuries?
He smacked
He's
his
got to
head
have
pretty
some
good on
major injury.
taxiway there.
That must be like at least 10 feet, maybe 15 feet drop from the end. Oh, Liz knows from experience that when you're drunk, your body kind of just completely loosens up and kind of, goes into a protection mode. She didn't. That's Liz's excuse, she said. She didn't say that when she was drunk. I added that part. A little twisted it up a little bit there. Thank you, though, Liz.
Oh, according to the report, it took like 45 minutes for this thing to be sorted out. It's amazing how much disruption one individual can create.
I thought it was interesting that the Southwest pilot could say, just for your information, we didn't see him.
We know nothing.
Yes.
We know nothing. It would have delayed our flight, and we have commuter flights to catch.
Yes.
Yeah. Liz says we were taxiing so fast we didn't see him. Everything's kind of a blur.
Ouch.
Oh, dear.
Anyway,
I was trying to see if I could find the height of the wing.
Wingtip. Yeah.
Let's see.
Where's Colonel Jeff when you need him?
Right.
Well, iHole Boxers thinks the base of the wing is about 13 feet. So it's going to be a little higher out there near the wingtip, particularly when you're halfway up the winglet. So it's going to be a good 15 feet.
Yeah, I would think at least 12 to 15 feet, I would imagine. So, and then, directly onto the cement there, that just cannot be a good thing.
And it kind of looked like he landed on his elbow, so I don't know. Anyway.
Broken elbows, that's always fun.
I wish him well. I hope he doesn't do it again.
Yeah, me too. What'd you find, Steph?
No, I just had various different diagrams, but I don't know which version of the 7.3 this one actually belongs to, but 13 feet sounds good. I'll go with that.
We're going to go with it. That's going to be our official stance. Okay. Well, yeah, and pretty much the text, the narrative that goes with this article basically says what we saw in the video. That he ran up to the airplane. Apparently, thankfully, they shut the engine down because that seems to me the only way that he could have climbed up onto the wing is by, using the engine nacelle to get up. Unless he's a really good jumper, I doubt it. So, Liz is asking if the nacelle gets hot. And the back end of it, yes, but the front end of it, I don't think so. Yeah, shouldn't be unless they had the engine anti-ice on, which in Las Vegas, Nevada, that's very, very rarely happens, especially on the ground. So it's usually pretty warm there. So if that engine had been running and he used that to boost himself up on the wing, we could be talking about a fatality here and not just some injuries.
Anyway, it was Alaska Airlines, so they're pretty chilly, those airplanes.
Yeah, maybe it was still cold from their trip down from the Great White North. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, which is
like
why
straight out of the
movie,
like the Disney movie Frozen.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, yes. As thank you, Liz. Perfect segue. Speaking of ice, and ice cold. Item B: Spirit airplane slides off taxiway into the grass at BWI, which is Baltimore Washington International Airport. No injuries reported. And this is from WJLA. WJLA, Baltimore. Sent in by Micah, did you say? Okay, thank you, Micah. And here we go. Spirit airplane slid off the taxiway Thursday morning, which is today, Thursday. I know why, because it's really snowy up there in the Northeast. Let's see.
I'd look at the forecast for Baltimore today, and there was no precipitation at all, only a 10% chance.
Did you look at what it did overnight, though?
Yeah, they got a lot of snow. I just came by there and looked down there, and there's a lot of snow and ice on the ground in Baltimore, for sure.
Okay. I'll explain it then.
So let's see here. Now, it says the taxiway. It doesn't say the runway, so it's my guess that it was actually on a taxiway and not a runway. So it seems to me maybe they were not used to taxiing around an airplane in slippery
speaking
conditions.
of segues, I believe they just arrived from Las Vegas.
Oh, how about that? Wow. You couldn't make this stuff
You couldn't
up.
tie these together any better if you wanted to.
Yeah, you're right. They came in from Las Vegas at about 6:18 a.m. And this morning about that time, I'm sure it was not very pleasant as far as the weather conditions. There were 111 passengers aboard the plane as the flight landed safely and without incident. Let's see. As the aircraft taxied to the airport terminal, it slid off a taxiway into the grass, and there were no injuries. So let's see. Yeah, so that's one of those things that usually when you operate in these kind of conditions, and all pilots out there who have operated in these kind of weather conditions can verify this, that a lot of times the runway is the surface that is in the best condition. They really take pains to make sure that the runway is treated properly, scraped as much as they can of any contaminant, and sometimes they even use chemical additives and stuff to make sure that the runways has as much friction as possible. But as much attention as they spend on the runways, a lot of times the taxiways get a little neglected. And so you have to remember and remind yourself that after you've landed and pretty good braking action, okay, let's just take this taxiway exit. You have to remember that the taxiway may be like an ice rink. And I think
and especially in that area, because I think they had more of a mix of freezing rain and sleet and ice and snow on top of it, and all that fun stuff that makes for very slippery surfaces.
Yes, and thank you, Liz. She was reminding me. Do we have any pictures of that, Jeff?
Mm-hmm.
She said that very, very nicely. Here we go. There is said Spirit jet off the edge of the taxiway, and here's another one, a little bit closer view, and an even closer view.
Distance from the center line. How's he managed to get that far off the center line?
Well, he probably didn't start there. Yeah, the ice, I think, probably.
Yeah, well, I know, but
helped.
Just go back to the first one where you get a nice down view of him.
Okay, going back.
That center line is off the edge of his wingtip. That's the center line, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Although he may have been coming in off that converging taxiway. No,
he just
probably
kept
not.
going.
And then it just when he started to make the turn to the right, it just kept going like this way. I don't know.
Yeah, good point. I must admit, I watched one of our A340s slide off a taxiway at Heathrow once, and poor old Russell, he was Russell Rook. He was only doing about 4 knots, but it was just the sun had just gone down. Temperature had dropped. They hadn't put anything out, and it had rained earlier in the day, and the water on the taxiway just froze. And he was just so gentle. He just 300 tons of airplane just would not stop.
Yeah, a lot of momentum to stop.
Yeah, it was like watching something in slow motion as he just glided gently off the taxiway onto the grass. We all went, oh no.
Well, hang on. Let me see. Liz is telling me something important here. Let's see. What I'm hearing the shower. Hang on. Hello. Do you have anything for us?
Okay, but I'm dripping wet.
Every time.
Every time he's dripping wet. You'd think by now I'd learn. But anyway, so Hillel says that. Go ahead, Liz. They landed and going to the gate. There was black ice everywhere. That sounds like a poor excuse to me. So they landed, it looks to me, based on this last picture that I'm presenting via our screen share, that they landed on runway 28. And then over here, you take this taxiway exit, and then they continued on to this, I don't know what taxiway designation this is, to cross the other runway. What would that be? That would be 33 left, I believe. But I think their momentum was just such that as soon as they hit this other taxiway, they hit the ice, and the airplane just kept going in that general direction. I don't know if you can see
Anyone
that.
who's ever driven in icy conditions will empathize a bit.
Yep. I wonder if he had time to use his reversers.
I don't know. I'm wondering if, I'm thinking, looking at this picture, they have some air stairs connected to the back. I'm wondering if, why that didn't provide some drag. But oh, wait a minute, maybe that wasn't actually there at the time. Oh yeah, I can see Jen here. Let's see if we get a little closer view.
Driving the.
oh,
Oh,
yeah.
there she is.
There
Yep.
she is in the air stairs
yeah,
truck.
Jen.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, she drives fast.
All the way from Ohio.
All the way from Ohio. Okay. Let me stop screen sharing there. All right. So, yeah, be careful out there, everybody. It's a slippery. And yeah, you can even see that in this. Well, no, you're not looking at the picture anymore, but you could kind of see where that moisture on the taxiway kind of just froze over. And yeah, not a good situation. Okay. Let's go over here to this. Anything else to say about that except that slow down, be careful.
Ray Williams has just written in the chat room about where urea comes from, and I don't think I dare read
where
it
what
out because
does?
I'm hoping that's a spelling mistake.
Where your rear
I think
comes from?
there's a consonant missing.
Because I'm sure that's not where they get the urea from. Ladies of the Night, Ray. No, it doesn't come from there.
I don't know why we're talking
Horses.
about your rear on the show. It's not really appropriate.
Or, yeah, or your nose, or your mouth, or anything
Yeah.
else.
Right. Your front, your rear, whatever. Okay. Bam. All right, let's go to item C. Final report. Accident. Southwest Boeing 737 near Pensacola on August 27th, 2016. Uncontained engine failure. A Southwest Airlines 737-700, November 766 Sierra Whiskey, performing flight 3472 from New Orleans to Orlando. Was climbing through flight level 310 out of New Orleans, about 80 nautical miles west of Pensacola, Florida, when the front section of the left-hand engine, a CFM56, separated. Debris impacted and punctured the left side of the fuselage, causing a loss of cabin pressure. You'll remember this was just a few months before the other Southwest 737 with a CFM56 had the same issue, or very similar, where they lost the front end of the engine, and in that case, also it was not contained, and it penetrated the fuselage, and then of course we know that was I think it was the only death reported in a U.S. airline that year, yeah. We know that story well. This one didn't get as much attention as the one where the passenger sadly passed away. Just now coming out with the report, a low cycle fatigue crack in the dovetail of fan blade number 23, which resulted in the fan blade separating in flight and impacting the fan case. This impact caused the fan blade to fracture into fragments that traveled farther than expected into the inlet, which compromised the structural integrity of the inlet and led to the in-flight separation of inlet components. A portion of the inlet struck the fuselage and created a hole, causing the cabin to depressurize. Let's see. The flight crew conducted an emergency descent and landed safely at Pensacola International Airport about 21 minutes after the fan blade out. Oh, FBO. They have even an acronym for that now. Fan blade out event occurred, FBO. The fan blade fractured due to a low cycle fatigue crack that initiated in the blade root dovetail under the blade coating near the outboard edge. So if you're at...
I've got a blade root dovetail right here.
Yeah, be careful.
And here's one I've already made. So you can see this is a blade that is meant for fighter pilots because it's also a bottle opener. So
It's been modified slightly.
Exactly right. You can see at the base of the blade there's a dovetail shape there. Sometimes called a Christmas tree, depending on the design, when it's got more than one section. And it just slots into the female portion in the ring that supports all the blades for that stage. So that's what a dovetail joint is.
Very cool. That's a very good visual.
Thanks, Nick.
Sorry if you're on the podcast.
Yeah, if you're listening to the audio only, you're not getting the full effect here.
Maybe
but just
take a
use your
picture of it
imagination.
and put it in the show notes.
Yeah, I could do
There you
that.
go.
I'll get right on that. let's see. After this accident, CFM, there was a little sarcasm and passive aggressiveness in that last comment. I'm sorry. After this accident, CFM, the engine manufacturer, reevaluated the fan blade dovetail stresses and determined that the fatigue cracks initiated in an area of high stress on the dovetail, and that the dovetail was experiencing peak stresses that were higher than originally predicted. Let's see. Thank you. Let's see. Anyway, a lot of detail here, but kind of what everybody figured. It's not really a surprise what they determined as far as, how this whole thing happened. They knew it had something to do with the fan blade fracture and let go. But the interesting thing about it, though, is that they're supposed to, the inlet housing, I mean, it's supposed to be demonstrated. I think they demonstrate this in testing, is supposed to be able to contain a fan blade letting go, right, Nick?
Yeah, that's obviously a concern.
Yeah.
Because quite honestly, if you're sitting in the aircraft looking out at the front of the engine thinking, I hope that if they lose a blade, it's contained, because I'm right in the firing line here, and you can tell that there was damage done because there's a damn great hole. Actually, not quite as big as I would have expected for a depressurization. I would have thought the aircraft pressurization system might have been able to cope with a hole of that size, but apparently not.
I guess not. I mean, there's a picture on screen right now of it, and it gives you something to think about when you're sitting on the airplane, kind of a beam this position.
Yeah.
Hoping that it stays together. Yeah. Sit on in the aisle seat. Maybe you'll
But
have a
that
better
previous
chance.
shot had a picture of the hole in the fuselage just below the window there. It doesn't look vast, Jeff. I mean,
no.
If you think about it,
Doesn't have to be.
Sorry?
I said doesn't have to be.
Well, no, if you look at the outlet valves for the pressurization system, they're a reasonable size when they're open and running. I don't know, really, but I guess it's a smallish airplane.
I guess the difference here between this particular incident and the one, let's see, was it near Philadelphia? Was the fact that one of those fan blade pieces actually hit a window, and that's why a fatality resulted. So anyway, we'll have all this stuff in the show notes if you want to check it out yourself. And there we go. We're back to non-screen sharing. Anything else to add about this incident? No.
No, otherwise, other than to state this is pretty rare for an uncontained engine failure. So you shouldn't be too concerned. But obviously, CFM are going to make doubly certain that, one, the blades are checked more frequently, and two, I'm sure they're going to look at their cowling designs.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Always something to be learned, right?
Yes. Yeah, if you're not learning something every day, then you're just not trying. Okay, report Jet 2. Liz, you don't have to laugh. That wasn't a joke. You don't have to be laughing. She's laughing about the stupid things that I say.
See, we're just not. We're trying hard not to do it, on air. But Liz is behind the scenes, so she can.
I'm trying to keep from laughing to myself. Like, what the heck did you just say? Okay, item D, report. Jet 2, Boeing 737-800 at East Midlands on the 9th of February 2020, earlier this year, rejected takeoff above V1. And we did, as Nick mentioned before we started the show recording today, we'd actually covered this one when it or shortly after it happened. And looks like they have a bulletin concluding the probable cause of the serious incident, and that was just a few days ago. December 10th is when the AAIB, the Air Accidents Investigation Branch, I think that's what this stands for. Bureau? Branch? Board? One of those.
I think.
Your choice.
Yeah.
The commander had a high workload managing the departure, and to give himself time, decided that the co-pilot should fly the takeoff. Thank you.
Air Accidents Investigation Branch.
I thought it was branch. Ding, 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 ding. I win. Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
That's what the official website says, anyway.
I know you'd think that somebody that lives in the UK, Liz, would know that, right? You'd think.
I've said it before. Acronyms are dangerous.
they're very dangerous. It could be Alcoholics Anonymous Investigation Bureau. You know,
No,
it could
Alcoholics Anonymous in bar.
be in bar. That's a fail right there.
Yeah. Where do you all hold your meetings? Well,
Oh, in the bar. We don't have a very good success rate with our particular chapter. A lot of relapses. Okay, so the commander let the decided that the co-pilot should fly the takeoff. In very gusty wind conditions, the aircraft encountered a wind shear event near V1, which is the decision speed, which caused a 13-knot reduction in airspeed. That's considerable. Additionally, the strength of the crosswind during takeoff caused the aircraft to veer to the right. Concerned that the aircraft might leave the runway and considering the situation to be unsafe, the commander initiated a rejected takeoff, an RTO, 5 seconds after V1. That's a long time after V1. The crew had not called V1, although the automatic call-out had sounded. The standard operating procedure is to continue a takeoff when V1 has been reached because, as the manufacturer commented, successful outcomes are more likely when a takeoff's continued rather than rejected. In this case, the aircraft stopped on the runway with 600 meters of runway remaining. The number 4 wheel and brake unit suffered heat damage from the full braking being applied during the rejected takeoff. The Air Accidents Investigation Branch summarized the sequence of events. So they go into a little bit more detail here. Nick, did you want to make any comments about the about what happened here and the conclusion by the branch?
Well, they're just quoting the really the recommendation is that once you've reached V1, then you should, unless there's absolutely dire circumstances, you should generally carry on with the takeoff. It seemed that the crew, because they'd had a indicated airspeed loss at just around or just before a V1, the captain appears to indicate that he felt justified in rejecting. But of course, we all know that that speed is actually a relationship to the distance you've got. If you get a sudden wind shear on the runway and you lose 30 knots, it doesn't mean that you can still stop the aircraft. Your ground speed is still high, and if you try and reject above V1, the likelihood is that you'll run out of runway despite your indicated airspeed because of a wind gust is showing you're traveling slower now. It's not the case, and we should all be aware of that as captains.
Yeah.
Well, any pilot should, really. We're always taught in wind shear conditions, if you get a severe wind shear, even though your speed may be indicating something quite low, you should probably, assuming you are pretty certain you're above V1, you should really continue the takeoff. I think biased by the change in direction that had occurred, which there isn't really an indication as to a cause why they suddenly, other than a wind gust perhaps, but it seems a very strong veering of the aircraft towards the edge of the runway. So 20 to 30 degrees is a lot when you're traveling fast. And if you actually had that amount of deviation, it would only be half a second before you're off the runway, because think about it, you're doing 100 miles an hour, 120 miles an hour, suddenly point your car 30 degrees to the right, it's going to be then before you're off the road. The same in an aeroplane. It could have been skidding, but it all sounds a little bit... the captain made a decision based on the fact that he felt that the airplane was in a lot of danger of leaving the runway at very high speed. So I guess we weren't sitting in his seat. We can't double guess him. But I would just put the thing out there that generally speaking, our training is that once you're above V1, you carry on.
I agree.
You try and fly the airplane out of that situation.
Yeah, to keep it on the runway, just, keep it getting more and more speed or whatever, and then, pull up before you get to the end of the runway, and you should safely fly away. And it almost seems like perhaps either a misapplication or not an appropriate reaction with the rudders as far as the co-pilot was concerned in this situation to offset that that drift, that crosswind influence.
Yeah, which also seems a bit odd because it's perfectly natural at that point. If the nose veers one way, you use the rudder in the appropriate direction to counter it. It's not like they were doing anything weird. It's not like you're kicking off drift and trying to coordinate ailerons. This is just straightforward steering the airplane down the runway with the rudders. So I'm a bit surprised that they got themselves in this difficult situation. But I guess the proof of the pudding is they stopped short of the runway and everyone was safe there. So, well done.
It was a good outcome, even though they did the not appropriate thing in this situation.
Exactly, yeah.
Had they gone 600 feet past the end of the runway, we could be talking about something completely different.
Yep.
Yeah. And also the fact that the auto cue had gone for V1, but the captain hadn't taken his hands off the thrust levers, which is usually an automatic. So he still had his hands on the thrust levers, and of course with his hands in contact, he may have imagined to himself that it was still okay if he pulled the engines back. And why they weren't doing those actions according to the automatic caller, I don't know. They said because they hadn't called V1. The airplane knew it was at V1. So
right. And even say here that removing the physical connection to the thrust levers or levers at V1 is intended to remove the possibility that pilots will instinctively or impulsively close the levers in response to an adverse event. Yeah, that's exactly why we, at V1, hands go off the throttles so that you don't have the propensity, or not propensity, the
temptation or
temptation.
Yeah, so your
exactly
brain doesn't go, hey, I don't like it anymore.
Sounds like some confusion there, as you said, because he didn't call out V1, still had his hands on the throttles. And then, you encounter this loss of airspeed and the airplane starting to veer, and perhaps he didn't know anything else to do but to just try to stop the airplane before it started flying.
Which he succeeded in doing. So, that's cool. But I think there's a lesson for us all in this accident report.
Yep. I agree. All right. Next one. It's a report. This is an odd one. Serious incident. A Cessna 525 citation CJ1, November 680 Kilo Hotel. Didn't we just have an N number with a 680 on one of these other things? Interesting.
Did we?
But not a Kilo Hotel. But maybe I'm just hallucinating. Anyway, or maybe it's because I read this article a couple of days ago and it just looks familiar.
Some deja vu.
Some deja vu, that too. Let's see. They were departing out of Bournemouth International Airport. How did I do?
Yeah, not bad, actually. Nice place down by the coast.
Oh, okay. Yeah, where's my bell? I don't know where the heck it is. Use your imagination. Okay.
Ding.
Ding. Yeah. I have one here somewhere. There's so much stuff on this desk. It used to be so nice and clean and organized. So did my brain at one point. Okay.
No comment.
The pilot had recently bought the aircraft, a Cessna 525 Citation CJ1 Plus, which had been fitted during its previous ownership with a Tamarack ATLAS, which stands for Active Technology Load Alleviation System, wing extensions and winglets. Active aerodynamic control surfaces are positioned in the horizontal section of these extensions. These control surfaces, known as Tamarack Active Camber Surfaces, or TACs, are automatically activated in high positive or negative G situations to unload the wing and keep the wing loading within the original envelope. On the incident day, the owner was intending to fly himself and 3 friends from Bournemouth to Rotterdam. The pilot, who operated the aircraft in a single pilot capacity, occupied the front left seat. 1 friend occupied the front right seat, and the other 2 were seated in the passenger cabin. The aircraft took off from runway 8 at Bournemouth at 2:17 p.m. local time. The pilot engaged the autopilot shortly afterwards. It flew a heading of 075 and climbed to an altitude of 3,000 feet. At 1,418 and 35 seconds, ATC instructed the aircraft to... I don't know why that's important. Anyway, air traffic control instructed the aircraft to climb to flight level 100, which the pilot read back. The air traffic controller instructed resume on navigation direct Goodwood, which required the aircraft to turn right. No response was received from the pilot to that and 2 further transmissions. The pilot recalled feeling light vibration, then a button on the left of the instrument panel labeled Atlas illuminated, displaying the text Atlas INOP limit 140 KIAS, or 140 knots indicated airspeed, in red. When the aircraft was around 6 nautical miles east of the airport at 3,000 feet and 258 knots indicated, the aircraft rolled left with a rate that the pilot described as very quick. As it rolled through 45 degrees, the autopilot disengaged automatically. That makes sense. The pilot reported applying full right aileron and full right rudder, but these actions were insufficient to control the aircraft. He moved the throttles to idle and used both hands on the control column, but the aircraft continued descending. Recorded data showed that a bank angle alert was generated at around 60 degrees roll, and there was a sharp increase in normal acceleration, which reached plus 2.65 G. The aircraft's roll angle peaked at 75 degrees left wing down with 9 degrees nose down pitch. This is not looking good. 19 seconds after the onset of the roll. Its rate of descent peaked soon after at 4,500 feet per minute. Now remember, it was about 3,000
feet.
Yeah. This is not a good situation. Corresponding with an airspeed of 235 knots, reaching a minimum altitude of 2,300 feet. During the upset, the pilot pressed the eliminated Atlas button and reset the Atlas main circuit breaker, but neither action had an effect. I don't know how he was able to find the circuit breaker during all this.
Yeah, while he's rolling and
Must
descending.
Must have been pretty handy. Yeah. Because for me, I'm thinking circuit breakers. Most of the circuit breakers on the airplane that I fly are behind me. I would not have been able to do this.
Since this was a modification, perhaps it was on the box itself, or in a prominent position.
Perhaps.
Yeah. So at about 19 minutes past 2 o'clock, the pilot reported a problem to ATC. The controller attempted to ascertain what was wrong, but the pilot sounded breathless and strained, and his transmissions were incomplete and difficult to decipher. I probably thought he was about to die. Whilst the pilot did not declare an emergency, the controller, believing he sounded extremely shaken, advised him to join left-hand downwind for runway 8 and instigated a full emergency procedure. The pilot recalled it took all his strength to lift the aircraft's nose, reduce its airspeed, and recover the bank angle to around 30 degrees left wing down. He climbed the aircraft to 3,200 feet, and the airspeed reduced to 144 knots indicated. It then entered a descending left turn. After descending from 900 feet to 300 feet above mean sea level during the downwind leg, I guess that's all that means, right? AMSL, I'm not used to seeing that unit.
Above mean sea level?
Okay.
Yeah.
We just don't usually include the above,
use MSL. Yeah, we don't do the A. Yeah. Yeah, because if you're below sea level, then we're talking about submarines, I think.
Or Death
Valley. You could be flying over the Dead Sea.
Well, I mean, but if you're over water, you'd be under the water. That's what I mean. That's what I'm thinking in my head.
Dead Sea's full of water.
Yes.
Or in Death Valley.
Or Death Valley. And the Death
But then
Valley
you usually put a little negative or a minus sign in front of the numbers.
Yeah.
And that indicates that you're below. Anyway.
I'm now thinking I should not have made that editorial comment. Jeff, you just
in
never
an
learn.
attempt to clarify things.
Yeah, you just made it worse, Jeff. Thank you. Okay. Liz says I can edit it, but I'm not going to because I want to show you that I'm a frail and Some kind of human, fallible human. Thank you.
Yeah, very
And
fallible.
we're below
Look at that.
50%. Thank you, whoever put that on the
Uh-oh.
screen. Okay. Now, where was I? The aircraft turned onto a base leg above a sports field. I'm not sure why that's important. The pilot reported using continuous full right aileron and some right rudder until landing. Less right rudder was required as airspeed reduced, and he achieved lateral control by modulating his right foot pressure. By reducing that pressure, the aircraft turned continuously through left base onto a 1 nautical mile final approach, right of the runway center line at 200 feet AMSL. The tower controller described the turn as so tight that the aircraft appeared to be on its side. He and several colleagues believed the aircraft would crash short of the airfield. At the landing speed of 105 knots, the pilot believed he could land the aircraft straight, so he used less right foot to straighten the approach, and when over the runway, applied full flap, the aircraft landed at 14:23. So this whole thing started shortly after 2 o'clock, and so
like 4:15 or something, 4:17.
Or was that it? It was even less.
Or
time,
not 4,
yeah.
2:17. Sorry, 2:17
Yeah.
and then 2:23. So it's like 5 minutes.
And Liz says at 14:24, the airplane was put up for sale. And the pilot was last seen heading for a laundromat to wash out his shorts, or a bar, or both.
Both.
He was at the bar without his shorts, so he accomplished both. So here we go. During the investigation of the TACS control unit, a screw and washer which attached and earthed the electrical connector printed circuit board to the unit's chassis were missing and found elsewhere in the unit. Ugh. These items caused a short circuit in the TACS control unit. On the 23rd of April 2019, EASA issued an emergency airworthiness directive requiring Tamarack, the company that makes this thing, Atlas, to be deactivated and the TACS to be fixed in place on Atlas-equipped citations. And they came up with a fix resolving the emergency airworthiness directive on the 11th of July, 2019. So the conclusion by the Air Accidents Investigation Branch was that the uncommanded left roll occurred because a short circuit in the left Atlas control unit caused the associated control surface to fail in the fully deflected up position.
Yikes.
The pilot
Youch.
who had recently purchased the aircraft had already modified, the pilot who recently purchased the aircraft already modified with the Atlas winglets was not aware of the associated aircraft flight manual supplement, which was absent from the relevant section of the aircraft's flight manual. So he knew nothing about that. Kind of sounds like the pilots flying airplanes with MCAS. Didn't know it was there.
Well,
didn't
he pull the circuit breaker on it or reset the circuit breaker for the
Yeah,
system?
must have known. Yeah,
something about it.
Yeah, must have known something about it. You're right. The pilot's instinctive response to the aircraft upset was different to that assumed by certification flight testing and the Atlas inoperative emergency procedure. Some of those differences may be addressed by the Aircraft Safety and Certification Reform Act of 2020, which is underway in the USA. More detail on this investigation and report will be included in the show notes, including the actual final report. There are some photos, and it shows the this TACS control unit and the printed circuit board and the hole where the screw is supposed to be with the washer, and then you can see the screw off to the side. Clearly not in the right place. And I think the pilot here did an awesome job of controlling this airplane and not letting it crash. That's
absolutely
pretty amazing.
Very much so. Yeah. So congratulations to him. I would just put one slight caveat to that, in that if you've got the airplane under control after a severe flight control malfunction, which was the situation he was in, I'd be very tempted, if you're flying the aircraft fine and you're going into Bournemouth, which is a reasonably big airport, not to put your flaps down on very short finals, which is what he did, because you really don't know the effect that change in configuration is going to have on the controllability of the aircraft. If you've got it under control, just leave it as it's configured and put it on the runway. Chances are you'll stop without a problem. On the other hand, if you have time, when you're at altitude and you're high enough to safely recover the aircraft, configure the aircraft as you would for landing, and make sure that you've got full controllability, so that you are confident that you can put the flaps down when you want to bring your speed back and land. So that's the only
I agree. When I saw that part of the report, Nick, I thought the same thing. I was very surprised that when he thought the landing was assured, he put the flaps out, and I'm thinking, why? Why did you do that? I mean, as you said, it's not a short runway situation, as far as I know.
No,
but
I think it was probably an instinctive thing from him. Oh, geez,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to land. I haven't got my flaps out. I need to put my flaps out. But actually,
Yeah.
it might have made things really bad. And on short finals, when you're very close to the ground, you wouldn't have had time to perhaps recover from any problems you had.
I mean, I land without my flaps all the time because I usually forget. But just kidding.
Checklists and whatnot.
Yeah, there's your first officer shouting at you. Go,
I don't know what the heck is he shouting at me.
Why are you making so much noise?
I don't know why is that guy constantly yelling at me?
Yeah,
don't understand. So mean. All right. Yeah. So good job not crashing that airplane. All right.
That sounded like an odd modification there, didn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
It kind of. I'm wondering what the point of that was. I mean, unloading the wing, but didn't they design the airplane so that the wing loading could handle? It doesn't seem to me like it was explained
Automatically
well enough.
activated in high positive or negative G situations to unload the wing and keep the wing
that's
loading
a
within the
pretty
original
rare
envelope.
occurrence.
I wouldn't
How
expect
many
that
times-
the citation
how many times you're
CJ1
going to
is...
exceed the G limits of an aircraft like that? Very rarely.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems odd to me too. That maybe we're not quite grasping what the whole point of that system is. But anyhow, all right. So we remember earlier this year. Seems like it was longer than that, but it was earlier this year that the Pakistan International Airlines flight 8303 crashed in Karachi, and they surmised that they forgot to put the gear down and scraped the engine nacelles on the runway. And this was just released not too long ago, a security camera video showing the event. And so once again, I'll be, bless you, Liz. That's okay. Let's see here. Application window and now, because Steph is the crew member that is expert in many, many languages, she's going to translate to us what is happening in this video that we're going to watch. Oh, you know what? I was going to set this up at a different place here, where it gets zoomed in a little bit more. Here we go. Okay. Take it away, Steph.
शोले जो है वो बुलंद होते हुए नजर आ सकते हैं फुटेज में और इसके अलावा ये जहाज जब टकराया है तो अपने इंजनों से टकराया और तैयारी के दोनों इंजन
Like you were saying, so tonight for dinner I was planning to make some spaghetti and I have
जो है वो पाए गए हैं
asked my
Very
family
clever
what
of
they
you
also
not to
would...
say some kind of an Indian dish. Just
An
in case
Italian
we
night.
offended somebody. An Italian. A spaghetti, yes. Pardon me? Oh, okay. Thank you, Liz. Okay. I thought you were referring to the video, Liz, and you were saying that Nick just landed.
Nick?
But she's saying that Rick just landed. So, okay. Well, that's an update on Rick's progress. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I've seen Nick's landings in an A340, and I'm pretty sure it didn't look anything like this. You're muted, Nick. You're muted.
Damn, you mean all those quips I was making have gone
well, I
by
could
the
tell you were
board there?
tickling yourself with whatever you were saying. We were not privy to it.
Nope.
Anyway, looking at this thing scraping, you can clearly see sparks just flying from the engine nacelles. It must have made a huge noise, even up there in the cockpit. Hearing those engines scraping the runway, and then it's kind of almost porpoising along. as it, as it's dragging those nacelles on the runway. And then the idea that they could just add power and fly away and let's give this a try. And this time let's put the gear down. I mean, I don't understand that. I mean, thinking, oh, this is a terrible sound. I think we forgot to put the gear down. And okay, let's just get this thing stopped if we can on the runway and
just put the brakes
take
on.
our lumps. Put the brakes on. Yeah, the brakes don't. They did
work.
right up that the brakes were not working.
Right, the parking brake.
Brakes were ineffective.
Ineffective. But yeah, that was you need to watch the video, folks, or at least look in the show notes and watch this particular video from an Indian affiliate regarding this this security camera video of that. I thought it was pretty amazing, actually, to see that happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and sad too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's why we have that in our news folder, because it was just new video that I think just came out. Let's go on to something that's a little bit more positive. What do you say? And item G, First Nations Trio. Oh, yeah, Liz is leaving now, so she's not going to be able to help me at all with any of these Canadian words and stuff in here.
Her timing is spectacular.
Perfect, yes. First Nations Trio is first all-women training crew for Indigenous Flight School. And this is from CBC News. And, and then we're supposed to place or show some overlays as well. So maybe one of you can find that in the brand setting and the overlays. And I think it says News H. Yeah,
there it is.
Thank you. Thank you very much. For the first time in Indigenous flight program, or in an Indigenous flight program's history, the student, instructor, and examiner are all First Nations women. When I found out that the chief flight instructor was a woman, I was so excited because the FNTI, I've never known another female pilot, said Rainbow Ford. When I was gearing up for the flight test and got thinking about it, I was so excited about the fact that both my instructor and my flight examiner were female and Indigenous. That just blew my mind. FNTI is an Indigenous-owned and government post-secondary institute located in Tyandaga, Mohawk Territory in Ontario, that delivers programs for Indigenous people across Canada. Liz is back, by the way, so she helped me with that one. Its First Peoples Aviation Technology program has been around since 1990. Yeah, let's see. Ford grew up in Lytton First Nation. Yeah? Okay. Oh, ding, ding. Got it. About 155 kilometers northeast of Vancouver. You know, there are people that actually, the only reason why they listen to the Airline Pilot Guy show is to hear me try to pronounce different city names and country names.
Well, that's the only reason I'm here.
Oh, really? Well, I'm glad I'm coming through for you then.
Yeah, great job.
Anyway, let's see. So Ford grew up in the Lytton First Nation. I would see them flying. I just knew that flying is what I wanted to do, she said. After high school, Ford went to flight school in California, but after a year being away from home, she decided not to continue. 13 years later, she was unhappy and wanted to get back on track to pursuing her dream of becoming a pilot. She applied to FNTI's aviation program and was accepted. The program is 3 years long, and, well, it's a long program. And the curriculum covers flight training, navigation, radio operations, and flight and simulator training, as well as private and commercial license requirements. At the beginning of December, she was recommended by her flight instructor for her commercial pilot flight test. It was a lot different back then, she said. So Joanne, Tabadang from Tyandaga, Mohawk Territory.
Sincere apologies to Joanne and
for all the First Nations people up there in Canada.
Yeah.
Where would this be in the Mohawk Territory? Is that up near Ontario somewhere? Oh yeah, she grew up in Mississauga. Oh yeah, I remember it now. Near Brantford. I used to drive by there all the time when I was a kid. Mississauga? Is that how you say that? Ontario, and her mother worked for Air Canada. She said she always wanted to be a pilot. In high school, she wasn't encouraged to pursue a career in aviation. She was in her early 20s when 30 years ago she took the same program that Ford's in now. At the time, was the only female student in her class. Anyway, good article about this. The three women, all from the Indigenous First Nation, together, and a lot of verse there, I guess.
Yeah, feel good story for sure.
Yeah, I like it. And we have some photos that we're showing on the video, and then of course we'll have links to these in the show notes as well. And they look like they're very happy people, and look like they're having a lot of fun.
I love the logo on the back of that airplane. I wonder what it's supposed to be. Is it reminiscent of those
Liz
stacks
thinks
of
it looks like a
rocks?
pine tree, maybe?
Oh, could be, yeah.
Bent over by the wind. That's what Liz thinks it is. And she's from Canada, so she's an expert on these things.
Okay, is that a squirrel on the top, Liz?
And it's a squirrel bird.
A flying
squirrel?
squirrel. I think I've seen one of those.
A flying squirrel bird. And, we don't see those a lot here in the U.S., but they're all over the place up there in Canada.
Oh, fair enough, yeah.
Let's zoom out of here over to across the pond to your side of the pond, Nick, and another feel-good story. Captain Tom, 100 years old, jets off to Barbados with a free flight from British Airways. Captain Sir Tom Moore and his family have jetted off to Barbados after British Airways offered him free flight. The centenarian smiled as he sat in a plane seat emblazoned with his name in a picture shared to his official Twitter page as he revealed he has ticked an item off his bucket list. Sir Tom raised millions for the NHS at the height of the coronavirus pandemic by walking laps of his garden.
Oh,
Wow.
I remember that, actually. That made the news.
So is that how he became knighted? Because of this?
For
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
raising all the millions of pounds.
yeah.
How do you raise
I mean,
millions of dollars walking around your garden?
Yeah, he
Wow.
decided
Social
he was
media.
going to do 100 laps of his garden, and the sponsorship just kept on growing and growing and growing as he headed towards this 100 laps, because he's not a young man, and it just went mad, and people just threw money at it. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Wow. He was named GQ magazine's Inspiration of the Year 2020. And so we have some photos of him in his British Airways plane seat, and that's a nice seat. And also a nice shot of him. Pardon?
I said first class, I presume.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty fancy first class seat.
They've even got him a special antimacassar with his name on it. Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you. I think Liz, looking at my expression, thought Jeff has no idea what he just said. It's the little doily thing that they put on the seat behind your head to keep all the hair gel, I guess, and the oil.
Yeah, all the Brill
from
cream.
your head. All the Brill cream, yeah. And he has a pretty decent head of hair for a man 100 years old, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
He certainly does, and yeah, absolutely.
And he's sporting a
love the
mustache
picture
that
of,
kind of puts mine to shame, really.
I love the picture
Well,
of him on
you got
the
a few
cover
years
of GQ. It looks great.
to work on that.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, great pictures there. Another feel-good story. And wow, what a great... there's a very nice shot of the Queen. Looks like she's not happy with him because she's like taking a sword and like whacking his left shoulder. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's the knighting ceremony. Never mind. At Windsor Castle.
That's right, yeah.
Oh, very cool. All right.
Actually,
we'll have...
they're a similar height. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I
Pretty
did
close.
notice that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is that's amazing. Well, that's another feel-good story. Thank you, Liz, for putting that in our news. And finally, so this is an interesting one. I get it. Another segue. First AT-42. So are they named because of First Nations, Liz? Yeah. And you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to have Steph read this particular one because I want to hear her pronunciation of these townships.
Awesome.
You're welcome.
So this is from, let's see, this is from
AV Herald.
AV Herald, yeah.
Yep.
So this is an incident. A First Air Avion de Transport Régional, ATR 42300, registration Charlie Golf Sierra Romeo Romeo, performing flight 7 Foxtrot 5604 from Iqaluit to Pagnirtung. Close enough.
Pagnirtung, she said, yeah.
Okay. Was in
what's
route
what's NU stand for?
Near enough. No, that would be NE, wouldn't
New
it?
Brunswick?
Actually, I think we talked about we talked about it on the last episode. Nunavut.
Nunavut. Ah, dang. Okay.
And the only reason why I remembered that was because Liz is in my ear right now telling me what that is.
I had a couple options there. It's like, no,
It's
no,
not
not
North
that.
Uganda.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was. In Canada.
Yeah.
Was en route at flight level 190 when the crew inquired with Flight Information Service about the current weather at the destination. However, received the weather of Puvernitik instead of Pagnirtung in error.
It was not even the same province.
No, that was in Quebec. I know QC.
Yeah.
Got that one. Ding.
Ding.
So anyway, the crew
Gotta find
continued
that stupid
to Pagnirtung.
Ah,
However, during the descent, received a ground proximity warning. The crew established contact with Unicom at Pagnirtung, about 20 nautical miles out, received the correct weather data, and continued for a safe landing. Canada's Transportation Safety Board reported Flight Information Service accidentally reported the weather data of Charlie Yankee Papa X-ray instead of Charlie Yankee X-ray Papa. So they had a little dyslexia moment there.
Yes.
Which provided a different altimeter setting. In the descent, the crew received a terrain proximity warning. As there were VFR conditions, there was no real risk of a collision with the terrain. The crew received the correct altimeter setting from Unicom about 20 nautical miles out and continued for a safe landing.
That's why this is a happy
ending. I was trying to
ending.
work out how on earth the wrong weather set off the ground proximity warning.
So apparently they got their altimeter setting from the Flight Information Service, but they received the incorrect
That makes sense now.
one.
They're flying
Yeah, and
at
it
the
must have been
wrong
a
height.
must have been a very, very significant difference in the
I
altimeter
thought they
setting.
were,
and
exactly.
Thankfully, they weren't IF or IMC, and this could have been a very bad situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess. Well, I'm not sure the crew could have done anything about this. It was just the Flight Information Service people that.
I guess
screwed up,
they're
right?
unable to receive. There wasn't a weather broadcast of any type.
Apparently,
like an ASOS or an AWAS, or that was the only way they could get that information.
Well,
it does seem
the Flight
like
Information Service is often where you go to get exactly that information if there's no Volnet or other source.
Ooh, keep that thought in mind. The Volmet.
Yes, I know.
Okay, This is a show full of segues, but we're not going to segue to that yet because
I've always wanted to have a go on one of those.
It's
They
a
look like
delayed
great fun.
a segue. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually been on a Segway for a very short period of time at Disney World. No, it was Epcot Center.
Before he fell off of it.
I was going to say, have you
No,
did your leg better now?
I did not fall off of it. I actually did a pretty good job. They only let you take it for a certain. It was inside of a building, so there was no harm. In
To pedestrians.
I'm not type rating in it. Yeah, and I didn't run over any kids or anything. Just a small animal.
Neil
Just an old
Landborn has
lady.
some information to clarify what we were talking about earlier about that FNTI logo.
Yeah.
He says it's the Great Tree of Peace. The eagle on top represents watchfulness, farsightedness, and vigilance. The war club underneath represents the burial of weapons and promotes peace and union. So there you go.
Oh, right.
Wow.
Okay.
Neil, how did you know that?
Very good.
I guess Google. We appreciate you. The link is
thank you,
there
Neil.
about us page. There you go.
Oh, very cool. Thank you, Neil. And if we had done, even a minor amount of research,
Like the bare minimum.
we would have
might
known
have
that. Ding, ding, ding. All right, that's just not doing a good job. Okay. I'm not either. All right. With that, I think now it would be time for us to do this. You wanna get to know us? Well, we have a segment just for you. Getting to like us, getting to hope you like us too. I know I screwed that up. Sorry. Let's do another take. Nah, forget it. All right. So it's been exactly a week, I believe, since we recorded our last episode. And let's see. Did we? Oh, yeah, we talked about it. Nick and I had done the PTUK Christmas special, I think the day before we recorded the last show. So that wasn't something that we did in between the last show and now. I don't believe it's been published yet, has it? I don't know.
I don't think so. I forget when.
Yeah. Christmas Day? Okay.
There you go.
I'm going to be interested to watch it because I have no idea how they could possibly edit the thing to make it even seem even barely coherent. But anyway,
I will watch it for the incoherentness then.
Yes, you'll be right at home, Steph.
Perfect.
hanging around me for as long as you have. Let's see. So, Steph, why don't we go ahead and see what you have been doing?
So more of the same. This year's been kind of on repeat for me. Flying at the weekend, back out in the Caravan again. Got signed off on that. So now just waiting for the insurance seal of approval, which is all well and good. But there's going to be a few weeks where they're not open or operating over the winter. So I think I'll need a little refresher course when the spring comes around. But that was a lot of fun. Really good.
Yeah.
Days are definitely short. Not a ton of flying to be done. We'll see if we get any in this weekend before the season ends.
Excellent.
Other than that, just the work. work.
More work.
You actually have a season?
For skydiving?
Yeah.
Well, in the past, no, but historically, kind of the 6 weeks between the end of December through January into the 1st of February don't produce very many good jumping days. There's just a lot of low ceilings and cold weather and not many people come out. And this year with COVID and everything else, it just didn't make a lot of sense. So.
Gotcha.
All
right. I have not really been doing that much since the last episode either. I did fly a trip though. My foot has been improving, and so I was able to walk through an airport terminal without hobbling about, and flew from Atlanta to somewhere, Richmond, Virginia, the state capital of Virginia, and then back to Atlanta, and then we deadheaded to Savannah. That was our first day, and that was a nice weather and all that. The next day, we went from Savannah early in the morning to Atlanta, hung around there for about 3 hours, and then flew up to Bradley International, Windsor Locks, Connecticut, Hartford, Connecticut, Springfield, Mass. And if you are watching while we're recording this live, and maybe even watching from an area in the northeastern United States, you know that they had a little weather event. I guess the first kind of sort of big one for the season. A little bit of snow and ice and that kind of thing. I don't think it's quite as bad as they thought it was going to be. But I, was looking at my trip and hearing all these news reports about the snowy weather coming and everything else. I thought, great. That, Liz is saying, did it look like did it look like Nick's background there on the video? Nick has a screen, not a screensaver, a green screen behind him, and big giant snowflakes kind of hitting him in the back of his head and deflecting off, and it's just a really pretty picture. Anyway, yeah, it looked a lot like that actually. But the flight that we were supposed to fly earlier this morning was delayed a bit because the airplane that was supposed to be used for that flight this morning had not made it in to Bradley International last night. I didn't really think it would. And so that meant I got a couple of extra hours of sleep, about 3 hours of sleep this morning. That was nice. And the bonus also is that the original schedule was for us to fly that early flight to Atlanta and then fly down to Fort Walton Beach, Eglin Air Force Base, and then back to Atlanta. And because we were delayed, they got somebody else to do those 2 flights. So I got, yeah, Liz says, and so we were able to start the show on time. Oh, no, never mind. We weren't. But
well, why would we change what we normally do just because we were all here
exactly
on time?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm glad that I got home probably a half an hour or so earlier than I had planned. And I'm glad I had that extra half hour because there were some things here, even though I thought I was going to be able to get everything set up before I left on my trip on Tuesday. I guess I didn't do everything. It's like, oh, shoot, I forgot about the lights. I had to go in the other room and get the lights and set them up and everything else. So anyway, we had oh, okay. Mark Van Ram says, Jeff, lose the tie and relax. I don't want to lose the tie. I like this tie. I lose too many things. But, okay, let me do this. This is just for you, Mark. Okay, I'm just going to loosen it up. Liz, stop it. Okay. What else? Yeah, so I flew a trip and did some singing over the weekend and don't think I had any meetups that I can recall. So the first officer I was with was a really nice guy. I had some really good discussions. I think we came up with some solutions for all the problems plaguing our civilization. So we'll just have to see how to implement these things. What else? Oh, I forgot to mention this. The trip that I was on that we flew up to Midway a few weeks back, I believe it was that trip, I got a message from an Acme dispatcher, and the message was, hey, Captain Jeff, loved the show, blah, blah, blah. And he was the dispatcher for our flight, and I don't remember which one it was, but I printed that out and I meant to keep it and, have it handy so that I could mention your name. And I do not remember your name, and that piece of paper disappeared. So if you would send us some email to feedback@airlinepilotguy.com and introduce yourself to us, and so that everybody else can know who you are. And I thought that would be kind of fun. So I do apologize for losing the piece of paper and not remembering your name, but there you go. That was the same trip. The air traffic controller, approach control said, "Is this Captain Jeff?" And my first officer is going like, "What? How does he know these people?" And yeah, I'm thinking, I said to him, "Trust me, this does not happen all the time. It's just very rarely that this happens." I'm not sure he believed me, but it's true.
You're just too modest.
No, I mean, really, it doesn't.
People are coming up to you all the time.
Not anymore. No.
In airports, on the street.
They run away, actually, when they see me now, especially the little kids.
Do anyway.
The little children do, and farm animals. I don't know why. Yeah. That's all I have. So, Nick, I know you have been a busy lecturer, presenter since the last episode. Tell us about
absolutely. The talk last night for a charity, the Lions International Club charity, it seemed to go down very well. Had about 58 Zoom attendees, and so that hopefully will have made them over £500, which is going to be great. Anything I can do to help out charity, as I always think, is worthwhile. So it was fun doing it, and my thanks to you for the extra special equipment that I was able to use to appropriately move myself around the screen. And,
oh, look at that!
Oh, look! And play the presentation, PowerPoint presentation, in the background, just like the green screen background I've got on now. So it was really good. Oh, bye-bye.
Oh,
I'm coming back.
I'm always reluctant to give stuff like this to Nick.
But
I
I'm
can see why.
extremely well equipped now with all sorts of
Well,
fancy
that's what
gear.
she said.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't need to brag about it or anything, but jeez.
absolutely. But along with
He's
the
extremely
new
well equipped.
really fancy interface that I needed to get everything sorted out that Jeff had kicking around in the back of his cupboard and decided that he was going to send my way. So really appreciate that. I got a nice little early Christmas present. Look at that, how sweet is that? A little tartan Santa's boot. Inside some unusual, certainly for us British, candies. So a Reese peanut butter cup. Reese's, got some of those. So actually I quite like peanut butter. So peanut butter and chocolate. You're not ideal for a diabetic, but that's fine. And a really nice crew bag tag. APG crew bag tag, I might point out. And what's that you're holding up?
That's the card that he sent with all those.
Oh,
yeah. I just am now realizing that we talked about this offline, but I don't think we talked about it on the last show, did we?
Oh,
No.
okay.
Okay.
Well, it's a good time to do it. There's a bottle
it is
opener
perfect time.
And all that is from Mike Cochran, who makes these, as part of a company called Cool Crew. So with it spelled with a K. K for cool.
He doesn't
K
make
for
them.
Crew.
He has nothing to do with the company.
Doesn't he? Oh,
No.
what a shame. Oh, I thought it was his company. I thought we were giving him a plug. Oh,
No,
right,
he
right,
is.
I shall
He
take
flies
that plug
a
back.
he flies a
I'd
jet,
Forget
and
that plug.
he flies a like life flight kind of services. At one point he's been a big part of our community for several years, and when he first joined us, he was a helicopter pilot for a police department in Florida, and then he went off to do this type of flying with a life flight and such. And he also, if you'll remember, at times you'll see us using the Yeti. What do you call those?
The tumblers?
Tumblers. Yeah, the insulated tumblers.
Oh, I use that all the time.
made by Yeti.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yep, he was the one that got those for us. And so this year.
Terribly generous.
Oh, he is a very, very
Absolutely.
wonderful person.
Anyway,
And so,
I really like my APG crew tag, and it's got all my information on the back. I'm crew number 4, so I still feel quite close to the top. I'm not chief pilot yet, but
Working your way up that seniority list.
climbing the slippery pole, hoping that the chief pilot will die soon. It'll get me one closer to the top.
is he talking about me?
I think so.
Dang.
Anyway,
That's rude.
Thanks very much indeed.
After I gave you all those nice things.
All this lot came in a package that Jeff sent me, including this very fancy interface down there, which is just superb. And in addition, now this is slightly embarrassing, it's a lovely book, a first edition, would you believe, of Flying Stories by a guy called Guy Gilpatrick's, and I'm really looking forward to digging into this. It's a reasonably historic production, and I'm just trying to find the chapters here because I think it's rather interesting to see the coverage. Come on, where's the Flying Stories? Guy Gilpatrick's Flying Stories. Copyright 1946, and here we go. So he covers all sorts of eras of aviation back then. One chapter, one story I can't wait to look at is the Great Whiskerino. So it's I don't know whether it's whiskers or whiskey, but that'll be a good one. The Wing Walker, the American Bar, the Long Grind. That sounds a bit risque. The Flying Yahoo, Bird's Eye View, the Devil-Headed
The Flying
Sun.
Yahoo, that's a chapter about us.
Me specifically.
I saw the search engine,
Stupid
one of the
Yahoo.
others. Anyway, embarrassingly, The kind of person who sent this didn't give any reminders as to where it's come from. So if you were the very kind person that sent this to Jeff and eventually it's got to me, then please remind us, because I'd very much like to give you a shout out on the show and personally thank you indeed, because this sort of thing is very precious, and I shall treasure it and enjoy reading it. So thanks.
Yeah,
very
it
much
came
indeed
from
for
a looks like a very small kind of boutique, kind of maybe a mom and pop style old used bookstore in, I think, Orange County, California, Southern California, I believe. And yeah, and I asked Nick about it, and he goes, I don't know who would have sent that, and they really didn't put a note in there to let us know really who it came from and why they sent it. So yeah, so as we said, please contact us and let us know so we can
It might
recognize
well
you.
be that some kind person did say, "Oh, I'm going to send something your way," and I've just forgotten about it since it was probably a little while back.
Oh yeah, that's probably likely. Yeah.
I forget all sorts of things, so my apologies. I don't
Yeah.
no wish to offend. But
I don't
I'd
even know
like
who
to.
this guy is talking right now, so and where I am.
Who am I?
Yeah,
Where am I?
all
What
know,
are we doing here?
All I know that
Who's-
I'm in a very nice cabin with a nice fire in the background,
all you
and
need
it's
to know.
snowing outside. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Maybe a nice drink later in the hot tub, and yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, that sounds nice.
Can't wait. That sounds very good.
Here's the one that I received. It says crew on the side, just as Nick's does. On the back side, it says crew number 1. And
You're the
base
chief pilot then.
KATL.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm number 1. And anyway, so I can't wait to put this on my bag
That
and
means
give
Steph's
two of us.
deputy chief.
I'm number 2.
Yeah. Yeah, show us yours.
Yeah.
I mean,
Rick
your
must
bag
be head
tag.
of Rick must be head of training. I'm the
Seems vaguely inappropriate.
I'm the only
Here,
only bloke who
look.
doesn't have a job.
Hey, Steph, if you show yours, I'll show you mine right here.
Oh boy.
Okay. I'll send those to you at some point in the near future, Steph. And,
Yeah, no worries.
To Rick as well.
Surely
and
we'll
here's my little
meet up at some
bottle
point.
opener. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you very much, Michael. Oh, he sent this very nice Christmas card. It says, Merry, Merry, Merry. MERRY, not MARY. Christmas wishes just for you and the crew. Well, that was a crazy year. Hope the crew's holidays are full of health, joy, and all the things you wish for. I wish for a better new year. Man, you all have may you all have essential, socially distanced, unprecedented, happy and healthy holidays and a Merry Christmas. Thanks for all you do, Mike. So, Mike, very
Thanks,
thoughtful.
Mike.
Thank you so much.
Same right
Yeah.
back to you.
Very kind.
Yes.
Be safe and have happy holidays.
All right. So, again, Nick has his, and I have mine, so I'll get those sent off to everybody else in the crew.
I think it's lovely that you got mine to me, even though I'm like 3,000 miles away, and Steph just up the road and she hasn't got us yet.
Yeah, what the heck? I'm like 300 miles away.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for pointing that out, Nick. I do appreciate that. No, because I was
think it's
sending you
because
the...
I did say, we'll just hang on to it, and we'll probably actually meet up in person at some point. So
That, and also because I knew I was sending them that mixer
Correct.
that he needed. So I just stuck
Which
all that
works
stuff in the
beautifully,
box.
Thank you. Yes.
Great. Sounds good. Nick, we meant to acknowledge the wonderful voiceover artist Greg Willits from last episode's Plain Tale. And
Most certainly.
we forgot to mention him on the last show. And I know that we did something at the very end, and I forgot to put that in the actual podcast. So.
Oh, absolutely.
go
Yeah,
ahead.
Greg's helped me out on a lot of Plain Tales because my American accent is diabolical. So when I'm desperate, I fire it off. And Greg's most amazing guy because he has a fantastic vocabulary and wonderful pronunciation and a great series of accents he can put on. And he has done a fabulous job. So I really appreciate it, Greg. Thanks so much, dude. GregWillits.com. Is that right?
I believe so.
Sure.
Yeah, he and his wife do a wonderful podcast, and we'll put links to all that great stuff in the show notes. He is an amazing man and a good friend, and I love him. Not in a romantic way, just to be clear.
GregWillits.com, speaker, author, etc.
I'm just going to leave that alone.
Kind of a what is it called?
Platonic.
A bromance kind of way.
Bromance, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm not going to say anything else because I'm sure that I'm going to get in trouble. And I won't say what Liz said after you said that you have a diabolical American accent. Well, now I will. She said, just the American accent?
Yeah, my Canadian accent is just about as bad.
Okay. I think now it's time for me to hit a music bumper here. Let's see, where is it? Here we go. It's time for the Coffee Fund.
Johnny, how much more coffee?
No thanks.
I love coffee. I love tea. I love the APG community. Oops. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. All right. The Coffee Fund is your way to support our show, our endeavors, financially. Only if you have the financial resources to do so. So if you need that money to put a roof over your head or clothes on your bod or food in your mouths, or most importantly, if you need it to go fly an airplane and take flying lessons and all that kind of stuff, well, then we don't want your stinking money. All right. But if you have some extra coins laying around, why don't you consider joining the Coffee Fund cadre? And you can do that by heading over to airlinepilotguy.com/coffee. And since the last episode, we have a contributor via the Coffee Fund Classic Method, Mazuz Karim. And you'll note that he also was in last episode's acknowledgement of contributors. And so he did a double contribution this month. So thank you, Mazuz. And we also have something called Patreon. You can become a patron of the show. And since the last episode, we have a new patron, at least an executive level, perhaps even a senior executive patron. We're still working that out. And his nom de, whatever how do you say that? Non de plume is Airbus driver. So I'm suspecting that he flies there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Liz says it's probably Rick. Rick, you didn't have to sign up to be a patron. You can, being a guest a co-host on the show is enough. But no, it's not Rick. Yes, that's true. Anyway, so if you want to join this great group of folks, head over to airlinepilotguy.com/coffee. And as we like to say, you'll be glad you did, and we will too. Honest.
Captain, incoming message.
Okay, Liz, did I forget anything else to say during that segment? Okay, thank you.
I just realized I did not mute myself, but hopefully removing myself from the stream has the same effect.
I think it does.
I think
yeah,
it did.
were you hooting and hollering? Because I didn't hear anything.
No, the dogs were running around.
I didn't hear anything.
Okay, good. I think it does.
Yeah, the good
but then
news,
I came back and I went,
the good news is that I can just, you're on a separate track, so I can just snip
Delete.
that out. Yeah, delete.
Fair enough.
All right. Let's start off with this first item in the feedback notebook, and it's from Robert up in Marietta, Georgia, just up there near the Big Chicken. He said, "Happy holidays, crew. Not sure if you've seen these yearly advertisements, but they're adorable. Apparently they took a break, but they're still worth a few minutes to watch. Stay safe." And he sent us a couple of links to something that I've never heard of. I'm sure that Nick has, though. They're called the Christmas Bears, I think. Heathrow Christmas
Jeff. I
Bears.
think it's some British Airways advert.
Oh, well, it's for the Heathrow Airport, I think. It says Heathrow Airport Bears. Yeah, so it's whoever operates out of there, including
I've
your.
never seen them. I ran over some bears once, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's not part of their advertisement, thankfully. But yeah, they didn't have any for this year, and the couple links that he sent show the ad campaigns for, I think it was last year, maybe even the year before. So we'll have those.
Pretty cute. They are very cute.
Oh, they're very cute. Yes. What's the name of the cute little animated bear that Paddington? Yeah, they kind of reminded me of Paddington.
And his marmalade sandwiches.
He ate marmalade sandwiches?
From Peru.
I thought you said,
I don't know
and his mom laid sandwiches. I'm thinking, what?
Initially, I also heard, and his mom made sandwiches, and I was like, marmalade sandwiches. Yeah. No, I definitely heard very similar to what you heard.
I was thinking, what the heck did he just say? Oh, now I get it. Marmalade. These crazy Brits. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Robert. I think that. Oh yeah, he also sent in that photo from the last episode of the new Airbus 330. Yeah, the 747.
The one that looked like a 747. 330.
First flight new.
Yeah.
Have not seen that one. Have not seen that one in the wild yet, but we're keeping our eyes open.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of plane spotters that listen to the show, so perhaps they can pipe in when they see one. Anywho.
I think the journalist will be the first to identify it.
Oh, yeah. They'll nail it. Oh, man. All right. Texas. I do this every darn time. I want to say Texas Anlashock says, greetings, Captain Jeff and APG crew. Got some news that will probably make Miami Rick happy. With all the 747s disappearing from the skies, British Airways has decided that the 3 retro 747-400s will be preserved. CIVB, Charlie India Victor Bravo, sporting the 70s Negus livery. Is that how you say that, Nick?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not
Negus?
quite sure which one that refers to. They're the opposition. We never used to talk to them.
Oh. Sorry. Yeah, he doesn't care. Will be preserved at Cotswold Airport, BYGC, painted in BOAC colors. It's going to Brotathan. Help, please. Help.
Brotathan, I would say.
Brotathan Airfield?
Yeah.
Oh, you've not heard of it either, have you?
No.
BNLY, wearing the iconic Landor livery, will be at the Dunsfold Aerodrome. In addition,
I know it's where they used to build the Harriers. British Aerospace, or Hawkers used to have a factory there, and Top Gear, the TV car show, was always filmed on the airfield there.
That's right. That's why I know it.
Oh, is that the one that has the 747 that has the just
double
two engines?
Yeah.
Or the double engines. That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's two. Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
And the new aircraft they're sending there is also going to be in films and things, so that'll be quite good.
Neat. In addition, Charlie India Victor Whiskey, which is in the current livery, has already been at Dunsfold since October. Reacting to a discussion you had in APG 450, specifically the 777F Rick was so familiar with, it got me wondering how familiar you got with the individual aircraft in your fleets. For Jeff, probably not the 717 since you're rather new to it, but with the Mad Dogs, I'm sure you got to fly most, if not all, of the aircraft in that fleet in the time you were there. Did you get to the point where that you could tell individual aircraft apart? Did you recognize the registry numbers, or was it something else? Did you have favorites to fly, and were there some that you dreaded flying because they always had problems with them? The first question isn't really for Nick, since Virgin's planes are actually named, so it's pretty easy to tell them apart. I think he actually mentioned one of them, Bubbles, by name. Anyway, hope you all keep safe. As we head into the Christmas season, may you dodge any blizzards this year.
Too
Not
late.
doing so well in that in that respect. This is the Texas and LaShock signing off. And so, in my case, Texas, there were certain number, 'cause we didn't have names as the Virgin fleet had, but you'd recognize like ship 926 and ship 911, of course, because when you looked at it, you went, ooh, I don't know if I want to fly this one. But honestly, they were almost identical. I mean, there were times that one airplane might fly a little bit better than another, but I never really made a mental note as to which ship number it was, honestly. But I'm pretty sure you're right that I probably did fly every one of them at least a couple of times. Speaking of the 717, he said, you're probably not paying attention that much to individual aircraft, but remember the story I told you about the 717 that had the really weird stuff going on with the FMS?
Yeah.
I have made a mental note of 9505. And guess what airplane I flew back from Bradley today?
The same one.
Yeah.
Didn't
I
have
saw
the
that
same
one.
issue with the FMS.
No. It looked like every other FMS box on a 717. So, they obviously
have done
fixed
a reload
it.
or something, did they?
Yeah, they just turned it off, turned it back on again.
Yeah, maybe.
Control Alt Delete.
I think that I wasn't holding my mouth exactly right when I did that. So, so they got that thing fixed, which is a good thing. How about you, Nick? Are there any ones in particular that you liked more than the other?
Well, when we got the Berlin bombers, the A330s, the Dash 200s that we acquired from the defunct Air Berlin, they were pretty ropey, so didn't really like any of those. They're not really up to the same equipment standard as the rest of our Airbuses. But they all flew beautifully. There really wasn't any way to tell them apart, and I guess that's part of the characteristics of an aircraft that is truly fly-by-wire. The great thing is it will have no individual foibles. You won't have to try and remember that it crabs or does this or has this strange thing that it tends to do. Some of them, as they got a bit older, used to get have repeated snags. So there were a few that you always there was one of our aircraft that always seemed to throw flat problems up. But no, generally speaking, certainly when they were newer, they were all identical and lovely. Some of them were in slightly different fits and color schemes, but that was just the way the company was, because it took some time sometimes for the new paint jobs to get through the entire fleet. But no, not really.
Not like our fleet where it's 3 completely different aircraft and the trick is to fly all 3 of them in one day.
Oh, yeah, brilliant. Yes.
That must be difficult to do, Steph. I mean, they're
Sometimes.
not even
They're
not
not
like
even.
they're not even
completely
the
different
same
aircraft.
airplanes.
No.
Yeah.
It's a Twin Otter and a Caravan and a Cessna 182. I think it's only
Does
happened
it
once
ever-
where I've actually flown all 3.
Does
in
it
the same
ever
day.
catch you off, off guard at all?
No, you just take a
no?
minute and go, okay, this is the aircraft we're in. Here's what we're doing. Talk yourself
Okay.
through it for a minute. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that, Steph, because, of course, the flight decks on all our aircraft were pretty much identical. If you were in a 330, about the only way you could really tell at first glance was to count the number of throttles. So the company got in the habit of making differences cards, with laminated cards, very basic but very simple, but down by your leg. So when we first got on board, the first thing we'd do is pull out the card and go, right, we're on an A340 300 today or 600, and let's just run through the differences. We'd remind ourselves of the weight differences, the engine differences, and speed changes that limitations, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and
kind of the same thing Unfortunately, they're all
but-
different enough that your brain kind of switches. It's not that they're
I was going to say,
slight
our problem
differences.
was that the flight decks were nearly identical. But of course, if you're climbing into a different airplane and that everything looks differently,
Yeah.
then hopefully that cues you as to
And it
which
does.
one you're in.
Yep.
Did you say something about cards?
No.
Thought somebody did. I think Nick mentioned
Yeah,
the
I
word
said
card.
that.
Oh, the
I
card,
think
the differences cards.
Differences cards, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, that just reminded me of something.
Triggered something in Jeff's brain.
Yeah, just
Yes.
trying to play Snap with some cards. Is that what you're doing?
Let's see.
You ever played 52 card pickup?
It's my favorite
Yes,
game
I
for other
have.
people to play.
That never gets old. You know,
Is it-
I'm going to save this for the next show. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, they left us in suspense.
Cliffhanger.
Here, I'll
What a
just
tease.
I'll just kind of, here's the tease.
Ooh,
Okay.
cards. Definitely cards.
Cards. Ooh. 16 inches, huh? Okay.
Hey,
see.
you said it first. Or someone else said it first.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
It was
true.
me. That's true. All right. Thank you, Texas and LaShock. Great question. And thanks for letting us know where some of those Legacy 7.4s are. Let's see. Oh, I see in the chat room, Ahmad Dan Hamadou from Nigeria, I believe, is with us on our live audience. Hello, how are you doing?
He's on
Hope
his
you're
way
doing
to.
well.
It's past his bedtime, so
Oh yeah, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty late over there, I would imagine.
yeah. Take care. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. Glad you made it to the live show. Okay. Item 3, Kiwi Al. Now we have Captain Al in the UK, but this is Kiwi Al.
See now, Captain Al, Kiwi Al, not so different sounding. I'm gonna need a differences card, I think.
Yes, you might. Some quick feedback on APG 450 and the discussion on the aircraft designation for the 747 involved in the Krabi landing in Hong Kong. The aircraft was a factory fresh 747-400F, and it was supplied to Atlas as a 747-47 Uniform Foxtrot, UF, with the 7U being the code assigned to Atlas, and you guessed it, F for freighter. Very interesting. Now the mystery is solved. By way of example, Air New Zealand's 747-400s were all 747-419s, and its 777-300s are all 777-319s. Acme also has a similar sort of designation that Boeing uses to differentiate airplanes that were made specifically for a particular airline. I just don't remember what the number is now offhand, but trust me, there is one. Boeing stopped using this naming convention with the 787s. Keep my ears filled with the news, views, and banter that I so love and enjoy on my walk to and from work. Cheers, Kiwi Al. Great to hear from you, Kiwi Al. And thanks for setting us straight about the 747-47 Uniform Foxtrot. We'll have to convey that to Rick, who is not yet with us, but
Nope.
hopefully will join soon. Okay. Next one here. Uh-oh. I think we've started a modeling war, and we're talking airplane models. Darren writes in, "Hi, guys. Hope you're doing well. A few episodes back, the Flying Kiwi sent in some feedback where he showed us his excellent model of the F4. Well, I can't allow myself to be outdone, so he inspired me to step up my game on the F-14. On another note, and I don't want to jinx anything here, but I'm right on the verge of accepting a job offer with a Part 135 charter operator in California, which would draw a close to this long unemployment stretch. When that happens, one of the first things I'm going to do is become a regular Coffee Fund member. Honestly, you guys have really helped me during this awfully difficult time in my life. APG is a true highlight of my life, and I really appreciate all you do. Stay safe." And again, that's from Darren Nolan. And I'm going to share my screen so you can see that Darren's trying to up the ante with the Flying Kiwi, Lucas. Yep. And here, let me do this first. I'm sorry. And there we go. And then I'm going to do this and share it with you. There you go. Look at that. Look at that F-14. Look at the detail of that paint. Look at the inside of the cockpit.
I like the illuminated
Tomcat.
screens, panels.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, they're great, aren't they?
Look at that. Again, he put it on top of a very shiny rooftop of a vehicle. And I love the way that looks, so you can see it from a whole bunch of different perspectives, I guess, in just one shot. That's really nice. And there's a top view.
Mm-hmm.
And a side view, the left side. And another close-up of the front cockpit of the jet.
Man, there's even harnesses, restraints in there.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Amazing detail. I don't know, I think my hands would be too shaky to kind of get that kind of detail.
I don't have the patience for it, so my hat's off too.
Huh. Yeah, I just wouldn't think that stuff.
No, I get it on. I get like partially assembled. I'd be like, yeah, that's good enough. Someone else finish this.
Yeah, let me see if it'll fly against the wall. Yeah, Liz says, thankfully, Steph's hands are steady for her day job.
That's right.
And
mailboxes. If you zoom in to the cockpit screens, you can see the pilot's fingerprints.
Really?
Why are they always touching the screens?
I know. I have to say, I'm kind of guilty of doing that on occasion. As much as you tell yourself, "Oh, I think we're going through already." Okay, we've already seen these. So anyway, if you want
just a hint for Darren, if you run out of car roofs or bonnets, hoods to put your models on, try a sheet of black Perspex, and then you can put that on the floor and put a bit of a cloth or something behind, and that also gives a very nice reflection, dark reflection.
Like, were you some kind of a photographer or something?
Well, it's just a thought.
Yeah, that's a good idea. All right, and
that's what
Perspex,
I bought anyway. You can get a sheet of Perspex for next to nothing. So,
plexiglass is the kind of the name brand, I think, that we usually refer to that material over here in the U.S. of A.
What do you call it? Acetate or something? Right. No.
Yeah, or no, just plexiglass.
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 Yeah. It's not glass at all, but yeah, plastic glass.
What did you call it, Nick?
Perspex.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'd call it plexiglass.
That's your only response. Okay.
No, I was trying to figure out how to spell it so I could Google it.
Oh.
It's a solid, transparent plastic made of polymethyl methacrylate.
Yes,
exactly. I mean, everybody knows that. It's thank you. Unshare my screen there, Jeffrey. All right. Very good. Now we're going to take a break from the feedback and get to the best part of the show. You all know. Come on, join me in saying what it is. The Plain Tales.
Plain Tales.
Woohoo.
Yes. And take it away, old curmudgeon.
The Old Pilot's Plain Tales. RAF Form 414, Volume 8. It's starting to look its age. It's frayed at the edges, wrinkled, and has bits that might fall off. No, not me, my venerable old Royal Air Force logbook. So before it comes apart completely, I think it might be time to punish you again with a few more stories from its pages. I left you last time after the tale of my embarrassing missile firing debrief, which had brought me back down to earth from the euphoria of launching a rocket-powered telegraph pole with quite a bang. I didn't have much of a career to ruin, so at that point, no damage done. The year was 1980, and I was on my first tour of duty with No. 43 Squadron flying the marvelous F-4 Phantom, but then you know that. After the excitement of my first firing, it was back to the more important but rather tedious training that we regularly undertook, such as electronic countermeasures. Since our ability to strike terror into the hearts of bomber pilots everywhere depended a great deal on the capability of the enormous air intercept radar that wagged away in the Phantom's nose, a common tactic of theirs was to cheat and try to jam it. We would level the playing field by devising tactics to counter their dishonesty, but one aircraft I flew against left me amazed. The United States Air Force EC-130. This American Special Forces transport was designed for nighttime skullduggery, when they would drop their cargo of ninja assassins whilst protecting themselves by jamming the hell out of any and every radar threat. So Budgie and I eagerly roared off over the North Sea on a mission to search out this special Fat Albert with all its extra lumps, bumps and sticky out bits. Before long, Budgie, head down, stirring the green soup of his radar display, mumbling something like, "Double, double, toil and trouble, eye of Newton, toe of frog," when he spotted our foe and gleefully locked them up so I could dispatch a nice shiny rocket-powered telegraph pole their way. The crew of the Hercules were apparently a bit unhappy at this, and the front of my Phantom reverberated with a mighty clang as they decoyed our radar off themselves with such speed that the scanner smacked against the end stops. Each time Budgie tried for a lock, the same thing happened, and now the original blip had been replaced by multiple targets dodging around like a manic pinball machine. "Curses," we both cried. "We should have added more root of hemlock." But not to be outdone, we homed in on their emissions until I saw the dastardly radar wrecker and tried to hoof around the back for a sidewinder shot. Refusing to give in, the EC-130 decoyed the infrared head of our heat-seeking death pole, whilst the pilot stood his dumpy machine on its wingtip and span it around and around in circles. Not to be outdone, I did some pilot stuff myself, and rocketed up above him where he would find it hard to keep me in sight. Coming back down, I lined him up in the gun sight and hosed him down with a stream of imaginary 20mm cannon shells. "You can't decoy a bullet," I said, but they replied, "Try doing that in the dark, son." Being of youthful appearance, I was frequently referred to by my squadron colleagues as the boy pilot, which was perhaps why I was picked to take part in my next mission of note, the Blue Peter Special. For those unfortunate enough to have missed an opportunity to grow up in Britain, Blue Peter is the longest-running children's TV show in the world, having started in 1958. A live entertainment show for kids. It features celebrity interviews, competitions, challenges, and such. And in 1980, they were holding a contest to name the latest member of the RAF's number 8 Squadron, its new mascot. 8 Squadron flew an aircraft often referred to as 20,000 rivets flying in a loose formation, the ancient Shackleton. An airborne early warning aircraft, it lumbered around like a World War II museum piece, but was still part of the Air Force's inventory, despite each aircraft being named after a character from another children's show, The Magic Roundabout. Its job of early warning was difficult, as it was built for a different era, and I always thought that the first giveaway from the old shack that the enemy was coming would be when they stopped talking. A bright and shiny eagle owl had been donated to the squadron to replace an earlier bird that was no more, deceased, bereft of life. It had passed on, was pushing up the daisies, kicked the bucket, shuffled off his mortal coil, run down the curtain, and joined the choir invisible. It was an owl. The BBC in its wisdom had decided to film the oil-dripping Shackletons and even get their presenters up for a mission, controlling fighters. Enter 43 Squadron from stage left with a pair of Phantoms. The inimitable John Spore with yours truly on his wing. We cracked off into the play area and butted heads at the behest of the fighter controllers on board, and then spent a while formating on the cumbersome beast before landing at their base, Lossiemouth, to meet the TV stars. We were duly presented with our much-treasured Blue Peter badges before launching off for a repeat, with the request not to use quite so much reheat this time, please, as the sound man couldn't cope. Then I see it was time for the trappers to visit. Not exactly what you might think, not a bunch of hairy mountain men wearing beaver caps and snowshoes, heaving mounds of smelly animal skins around, but just about as welcome. Our trappers came from the Phantom Operational Conversion Unit, and were a bunch of standards instructors, who flew with a bunch of us to see if our Squadron QFI was being lazy or not. They bought up their own two-sticker, an OCU aircraft with controls in the rear cockpit, put us in the front and ran us through our paces. I think I did okay in the air, but on the oral test afterwards I was embarrassingly short of technical knowledge, and my understanding of the Phantom's limitations was unacceptably limited. As a punishment, I was given the task of presenting a lecture on the Phantom's limitations to the whole squadron on the next Friday ground training day. Apparently I showed some flair for standing up in front of people and gained some kudos from the boys by handing out edible treats for correct answers and ensuring that the junior chaps got easy questions like, how many crew does an F4 hold? And giving impossible ones to all the executives, like, how many bleed air holes are there in the intake ramp? Actually, in the region of 12,500. I wish I hadn't done quite so well at this task, as I might have marked my card with the boss, who obviously held a grudge, and ensure that my next posting was to be a flying instructor. The QRA count of launches was mounting, and so was my count of live intercepts against the beast from the east, the Soviet Bear. The 2 I intercepted with Budgie on the last day of March put my tally at 20, and by now I was a proud member of the 10 Bear Club twice over. We had another training session with the USAF Aggressor F5 Squadron out of Alconbury, this time 2 versus 2 setups, with me as a wingman with a more experienced pilot. Then, as the summer progressed, it was again time to head for Cyprus and our annual 6 weeks in the sun, called the Armament Practice Camp. This time I was given an aircraft to take out and spent 5 hours 40 minutes strapped to my Phantom whilst we tanked our way out the 2,500 miles to the little island in the Mediterranean. This was a time of political wrangling and dispute, particularly between the Greeks and the Turks, after the Cypriot War only a few years earlier, when Turkey had invaded the island. It was now divided into 2, with the Greeks and our military bases to the south, and the Turkish sector to the north, with a UN peacekeeping force in between. To make things easier for everyone, we navigated our way down the Med along the lines of individual countries' airspace boundaries, not speaking to anyone. Our time in the sun was as gorgeous as usual, and our partying interspersed only occasionally by flying, which, apart from the gunnery, included a fly-past of the headquarters at Episcopi for the Queen's birthday celebrations there, and a mini Masex. This little exercise was for the benefit of our naval chums, who were floating past Cyprus at the time. We mounted an attack on the fleet in pairs, with one Phantom acting as a bomber and the other as a missile fired at the ships. I was the missile, which had the added bonus of being given carte blanche to buzz the RN boats. As I belted in at around 600 knots, I pretended to be a very good missile by diving down to sea level and running as low as I could. Spying a suitably sized boat, I rattled past at deck height, thoroughly enjoying myself, but noticing how difficult it had been to get down to the height of the deck. After landing, I grabbed a copy of Jane's All the World's Paddle Ships and looked the boat up. It seems I had picked a frigate, not all that big, and the deck was actually only 30 feet above the waterline. Ah, that explained things, and I went away feeling suitably chastened. It might have been a good idea to have checked before the mission. Still, the Navy came close enough to shore for us to pay them a visit, and we duly sat in their wardroom, being introduced to their habit of saluting poop decks and their special beer. I recall that it had lots of X's in its name, and after a few pints I had similar X's in my eyes. Good stuff, chaps. When it came time to head back home, I was again given one of our F-4s to fly, and we set off in a four-ship with me last to roll. It was a pair's takeoff, so after the first pair rolled, we took to the runway and I parked on the wing of my leader. He wound a finger in the air, so I powered up those mighty Rolls-Royce spays and checked the gauges. All good. So when my lead pilot nodded his head, I released the brakes and went to full dry power. A second signal and we both engaged reheat. I scanned forward down the runway and then across to the lead aircraft, keeping my position. With the stick hard back, as the nose came up, it was just a matter of checking forward a little and then letting the aircraft leave the ground. Airborne and another signal for gear up. I looked in for half a second to find the big gear knob, and then, on the nod of his head, I whipped it up, and my hand was back onto the throttles to keep in position. But there was a bit of a problem. With full reheat, I was dropping back, and I couldn't hear the usual thumping of the undercarriage settling into the wheel wells. A quick glance, and I could see that the gear lever was up, but the indication still showed 3 little wheels. The gear was still down, and with all that drag I couldn't keep up, and what's more, I needed to keep the speed below 250 knots, the gear limiting speed. We pulled away and watched the other 3 aircraft continue to climb. They had a tanker to meet, so they weren't going to hang around for me. Andy in the back seat and I ran through the checklist and tried a few suggestions from the duty pilot, but there was nothing for it. I needed to get back on the ground. Once on the ground, I double-checked that there were no locks left in the undercarriage. The engineers went to work, and then it was time to try again. We had tagged on to the final formation to go, so if it didn't work this time, we'd be stuck in Akrotiri. Off we went, and the crash of the nose wheel hitting the top of the bay with its usual thump was very satisfying, and I settled down to another 5 hours and 50 minutes of tedium and tanking. Back into the not-so-sunny Scotland, and in between QRA scrambles, I see us taking on Jaguars, F-104s, F-111s and Harriers, all very exciting. And up in the Highlands of northern Scotland, there was no better flying than hunting down our prey amongst the lochs, glens and mountains of that remote and severe countryside that was on our doorstep. Burners lit, we would hammer around the granite cliffs that soared upwards to the peaks of Antialach, the Mamors and Great Corries, and Ben Nevis itself, and then burst out over the flat plains and the great lakes like Loch Nanclar, which we Sassenachs had dubbed Pork Chop Lake. It wasn't all fun, though. Before long, September had arrived, and although I nabbed another couple of bears for my birthday, we were soon into exercise teamwork, a joint maritime NATO exercise way out over the Atlantic. 25 hours in just 5 flights, and a long way out over the ocean with little trade for us to play with. akin to just drilling holes in the sky for the sake of it, but something I'd have to get used to in years to come. Just no coffee to keep us going, and little opportunity to seek relief of any kind. Should our bladders get the best of us, we had but one option, the RAF Piddle Pack, formerly known as Bag Crew Relief. It was a sturdy plastic bag with a longish neck and a dried-out sponge inside. Having decided that it was impossible to carry on, it was quite a palaver to use. First we had to engage our rudimentary autopilot, and then make the ejector seat handle between our legs safe, as there would be a lot of activity down in that area. After unbuckling, there was a strap that ran right down the front of the groin that needed moving. We would start to delve inside layer after layer of protective clothing. This began with the immersion suit, a thick and unbending flight suit that became more or less waterproof after immersion in the sea. To get at the groin there was a zip and a Velcro strip, beneath which was a long rolled-up tube. Unrolling it was only the first job, as beneath it was a thick acrylan pile onesie, and then underneath that the waistband of the G-suit, through the Y of our long johns, and then the final personal underclothing of whatever style was preferred. Having located the appropriate appendage, it had to be encouraged back through all these layers and inserted into the neck of the piddle pack. This all had to be done by feel. It was just about impossible to see what was going on, but that was just the physical challenge. The mental barriers then had to be overcome. Having spent several hours trying not to pee, now we had to convince a reluctant bladder that it was safe to do so. And once that had been accomplished, we had other concerns. The bladder can hold a lot, and assuming the bag was big enough, we then had the problem of where to stow it. There was no approved pee storage built into the Phantom cockpit. Still, the pilot's difficulties were small when compared to those of a navigator. If they were sensible, they wouldn't let us know, but should they ask for a smooth ride so that they could pee, that was usually the last thing they got. Peeing upside down was a challenge that defeated most backseaters.
That's just mean, I'd say.
That's me all over.
Okay, well, here I am. Well, no, here's my room. And...
Very nice, Jeff.
There I am. Still trying to figure this out.
Good.
Anyway, you have such a wealth and depth of experiences that I'm always just amazed when I hear all these PTs about your logbook, Form 414 or whatever it is, you know?
Okay. Still got a few to go. I must admit, I feel
no,
a bit
these are interesting things. I want to hear about
it because
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant.
Oh, honestly, they're my favorites. Sorry, I was trying to talk and I was still muted.
Yeah, let me mute you again then. No, I'm just kidding. Oh. It's not nice.
Well, thanks very much. No, it's great. It's a great, and for me, it's much easier to recount stories from memory than it is to actually research a difficult.
Yeah, I can see why you'd prefer that. But anyway, I know they're stories you've heard and probably told many times in your past. But for most of us, it's the first time that we're hearing of all these things, and it's just amazing. Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate it.
All right. And what was that, Blue Peters? That means something entirely different over here. Okay.
Blue Peter. No, you can't leave it there because a Blue Peter is actually a naval flag.
Oh, no, it's not.
So what is
Nothing.
it in the States?
We need to continue with our feedback. and
I'm going to look it up now.
Better time than to start off with some audio feedback from our good friend and prominent APG community member, Glenn from Down Under in Kiwi Land.
What does Blue Peter mean?
You're still your microphone's still on, Nick. So shh.
I know.
Here we go.
G'day, Captain Jeff, Captain Nick, Captain Rick, and Dr. Steph. It's Glenn here from New Zealand. I just had a thought. All your names only have 4 letters, just like my name has 4 letters. Isn't that a good thing? Anyway, sorry, I just was there. Hey, I was listening to Max Trescott's very interesting aviation news talk podcast with my very good friend Rob Mark, I've known for many years, and he was saying they were talking about go-arounds and how pilots don't seem to practice go-arounds. I mean, it's such a thing that could save your life. I mean, literally save your life. I mean, a number of pilots have died and taken their passengers and crew and everyone else with them by not doing a go-around properly, you know. So he said he talked to an airline pilot and says they just don't practice go-arounds. I mean, why not? Why don't they practice go-arounds? And do you guys practice go-arounds when you do your check rides every year in the simulator? Just an interesting thought that came up from his fine podcast. Yeah. So that's about it, really. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. If I didn't get a chance to say this before, it's probably the last. If I'm doing more feedback this year. Anyway, that's about it. Talons Douglas, Glenn out.
Thanks, Glenn. Not sure how you're spelling Steph, but I guess STEF maybe?
STEF would only have 4 letters, but my name has a PH, so it's actually 5. Sorry to ruin the symmetry and balance. Huh?
I thought it was a PhD.
Well,
no, not that either.
Course. Piled high and deep, that's for sure.
That's right. That's
right. So Glenn, always great to hear from you. In fact, we're going to hear from him again if we have time on today's episode. But so I think he said it was hard for me to understand exactly, but he said something about he had heard on this other podcast about that was he saying prop pilots didn't practice go-arounds? Is that what?
I thought he said airline pilots didn't practice.
Well, no, after that he did. He was talking about Max, or not Max.
Max Trescott, his aviation.
Yeah, Max. That is Max. Okay, Max Trescott's podcast, and so I'm thinking that maybe they were talking about general aviation, and maybe he said props. I can't understand that darn Kiwi accent apparently, but yeah, airline. I don't know what airline pilot he was talking to. But it seems like that's all we do when we're in the simulator is practice go-arounds.
Non-stop
like,
go-arounds.
Stop the go-around. It's because,
right,
we don't really... okay, here we go. It's because we don't normally do them that often in the real world. And so that's why we take the opportunity to do a whole bunch of them, more than we want in the simulator.
Well, and that's the reason to practice them.
Yes.
So you can execute them correctly and it feels like a normal procedure.
Right.
If you need to.
That
Absolutely.
is so true.
And of course the instructors prefer them because if you do a full stop landing in the simulator, they've got to reset everything to get you in a position where you can do your next takeoff. Whereas, because if you're continually making approaches and doing go-rounds, the simulator just carries on. So there's no delay and no hold-ups.
Or if you're a pilot like me, I'd say maybe 50% of the time. Go ahead and put that thing up there. My approach is so bad that I have to go around, so I get a lot of practice. I thought that was. I was kind of scratching my head when you said that, Glenn. That the airline pilot that this, I guess Max was talking to, said that they don't practice them. I'm thinking, oh, really? That's not common or normal.
Not sure what airline they're working for.
Liz says, the guy, this is terrible, from Pakistan International Airlines.
Oh.
Oh, dear.
Liz, shame on you. You know, it makes me realize that sometimes I shouldn't share everything that Les is saying to me.
Well, when you start laughing for no apparent reason, then we need to know.
It could be just my mental state. It could be something funny that somebody's telling me. I'm not going to tell you the difference, which one it is. Okay.
Well, also check out Max Trescott's wonderful podcast. It's Aviation News Talk.
Aviation News Talk. Thank you. I can't remember the name. It's a very popular. It's one of the top podcasts in the aviation segment out there. So he does an amazing job. So definitely check that out. If you're looking for one that is just boring as all get out and really has no value whatsoever, I would check out Opposing Bases.
I was just listening to their latest one, actually. They're funny guys.
They really
are. Very
are.
funny. There's something strange about them. I guess there's something strange about all their traffic controllers.
It's kind of like rubbernecking, and there's a car crash or something, and you just you want to stop, slow down, and watch it. I don't know why. I kid. We're having fun. We're fun. We're poking fun at each other all the time. So, yeah, trust me.
Oh, they were very complimentary about the tale I did about Bravo November, the Chinook helicopter. So that was nice.
Excellent.
Yes, and it was a very informative and entertaining one as well.
Well, considering it was about helicopters, which are about the most dreadful flying machine the world ever invented. But
don't know how you did it, actually. You made it interesting.
Send your feedback to Captain Nick at Airline Pilot Guide, or I'm offended at Airline Pilot Guide.
I'm offended by Captain Nick at
Yes,
Airline
I'm offended by Captain Nick.
At airlinepilotguide.com. That's quite a long email address.
It's fine. It'll get there.
It'll get there, no matter how you do it, actually.
You don't have to spell it right.
No, but the downside of doing that, though, is that it'll only come to me and not the rest of the crew. So if you want the whole crew to see it, you have to do the standard feedback at airlinepilotguide.com. Just a hint.
So don't do that.
Yeah. No, you definitely use that one. 6. Okay, Liz. Ann Arbor Dave writes in, Jeff, I copied and pasted from an Acme non-rev Facebook group. It brought a tear to my eye. I got permission from the ticket agent, who got permission from the young man's mother, who's setting this up. So here we go. This is what he cut and paste, or copied and pasted. December 8, the ATL main lobby south terminal. I'm working the ticket counter and I notice a little senior lady standing off to the side. So I ask her if I can help her with anything. She smiles and says, "No, thank you. I'm just waiting on my grandson. He's admiring your Delta ticket counter." I look down the counter and there he is with his mama following behind him. Introductions are made, excited chatter, and it seemed like I learned this story in mere seconds, and my heart literally melted. Matthew learned his story, probably, I guess, maybe, I don't know. Matthew was born with autism and has quite the story, but his heart, y'all, his heart for Delta will steal you away. He doesn't have a lot of friends and has a difficult time at school with the other kids because of his differences. But kids, they don't see remarkable at that age. Matthew is brilliant and has so much love for Delta. From the start, he let it be known that Delta was his favorite airline, and it confounded him why we haven't won more awards than we have. He shared a story with me. He was on one of his Delta flights, and the pilot let him sit in the cockpit. In conversation, Matthew shared he was born with autism. That angel pilot shared a disability he struggled with when he was a kid. Matthew quotes the pilot sharing with him, "Don't ever let anyone tell you you can't just because you have a disability, because you can do whatever you want to do in life." Matthew was beaming as he shared that story, and I was wishing that that pilot could see the seed he planted in this young man a few years back. Captain, you made a huge difference that day. Matthew shared our stock exchange with me. He knew facts about our jets that I didn't even know. He is a human Delta museum. Matthew has an Instagram account, Delta717_diecast, that is dedicated mostly to Delta. And I quickly learned he could steal a heart quicker than I've ever seen in all my life and without even trying. Matthew was celebrating his 11th birthday, and all he wanted for his birthday was to visit the Delta Museum in Atlanta. So his grandma and his mama made that happen for him. But when they pulled into the entrance, they learned the Delta Museum was closed, and there they were at Hartsfield-Jackson South Terminal, letting Matthew soak in all of the Delta he could from our lobby. Y'all, I couldn't let this go. I called our phenomenal ATL Airport Experience team, and I shared Matthew's story. Minutes later, our team gal showed up. My heart freaking exploded as I watched this innocent young guy steal yet another heart. After listening to Matthew for just a few minutes, he lived in my heart, my girl's heart too. She got on her phone and began dialing one number after another, after another, after another. Within minutes, 2 other Delta heroes showed up with gifts and our sweet Matthew's private airport escort. Have I shared how much I love my job and my teammates in the heart of our Delta? Oh my gosh, y'all. Only at Delta would the red carpet be rolled out for an 11-year-old. But you couldn't help but want to make today bigger than life for him. His heart for us, y'all. I've never seen anything like it, ever. His mama got in touch with me tonight and shared Matthew's experience today. It was, quote, the best day of his life. And hands down, quote, the best birthday ever. And those were Matthew's words. Through tears and love, Mama happily gave permission to share Matthew's story, pictures, and his Instagram account, Delta717 _ DIECAST diecast. He doesn't have a lot of followers, but he would love a Delta family to follow him, and he would be bowled over by any jet shots on the ground or in the air or in the cabin, and any fabulous destination shots where Delta was your chosen carrier. Mama Bear gave her permission for our Delta family to embrace her only son, returning our love for him just as he loves us. Y'all check out Matthew's Instagram. The guy is 11. He is also recreating airport runways on a smaller scale, of course. Today, it was truly the best day in 2020 for me. My heart is so full. And then she puts again, at Delta717 _ diecast. Check him out. Got the syndrome. Ann Arbor, Dave. Oh, okay. So that was the end of the thing that he copied and pasted from another gate agent in Atlanta. Ann Arbor, Dave, obviously, it works out of the Detroit Metropolitan Airport. That makes sense, right? Ann Arbor. Mm-hmm. Dave. Thank you, Ann Arbor, Dave. Very, very nice of you to send this. And yeah, very touching. And, you know, I think the touching thing about it is when a child has autism or some kind of a disability like that. Yeah, it's really hard to see past that, especially when you're a young person. But as you get older, you start to realize how, you know, gifted a lot of people are, even in spite of or because of their disability.
Yeah, I agree. And definitely the year where we need these feel-good stories. So nice to see that people, despite challenging years for themselves, can recognize ways to give back and make someone else happy.
Yes. I think it's great that people who are often very busy just manage to give some time to someone they immediately recognize as in need of some love and being a very special person. So hats off to the Delta folk for doing all that. That's brilliant.
And it also goes to show you that sometimes seemingly innocent, unimportant to us things that we do or say to somebody really make a big impact on them, or can. So
absolutely. Yep.
Very good. Thank you very much, Dave, for sending that in. Appreciate that. Magnus writes, hello, APG crew. Thanks, as usual, for a great podcast. Regarding the feedback about home flight simulators, this summer, Microsoft released their new flight simulator. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 sets a new standard for home flight simulators. Add yoke, rudder pedals, and a throttle, and you have a really fun setup. And he gave us a bunch of links to check out. One of them was the yoke and rudder controls that you can get. Some of these things are not cheap at all. I mean,
I was gonna say,
quite
I
an
just pulled up the link.
investment.
It's it's a little pricey, but if that's
Mind you, they got force feedback and all sorts of stuff. So
yeah,
I
if you want to
guess,
make it
if
realistic.
you want to take full advantage of Microsoft Flight Sim and all that it can offer, you need an equivalent piece of hardware.
Yeah. And I think the throttle quadrant actually was pretty sophisticated looking too, but it wasn't quite as expensive as the as that first one was with the force feedback yoke. He also included a link to the official pre-order launch trailer from Microsoft, and I do believe that I have that all set up. We can listen to listen, and if you're watching the video, you can watch a little bit of this if you haven't already seen it. I suspect that a lot of people that listen to our show probably already have, but let's go ahead and play a little bit of it, and hopefully we won't get in trouble from YouTube or Microsoft. Was this their stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when's she going to jump out?
Of a
That's a
Cub?
caravan right there, right?
That was a caravan.
Yeah. It's amazing detail on these. I don't know what kind of airplane that is.
Oh, he's flying through
Airbus
a
300, brand new.
First flight.
First flight.
And the scenery is awesome.
York,
They're
Central
showing,
Park.
Central Park, Manhattan Island, some formation flying, a little pit
pit
special, looks like. Yeah.
Cool.
Just incredible. Is that one of those extra
Dubai.
300 or something?
Yeah.
Just incredible. The amount of detail.
Oh, look at the detail of that gear coming down.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Here's that new Airbus 330.
It's a Berlin bomber.
Very well done. I love the music too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course, you realise that not only will you have to buy that expensive set of controls and the program, you're going to need new computers to run
That
it
can
on.
handle all the
A couple of
graphics.
extra wraparound screens. And,
Oh yeah, you're like 20 grand into this by the time you
but
ever set
actually,
up.
it's
Oh,
worth it.
easy. Yeah.
If you're not going to be a pilot and don't want to spend your money that way, I can't think of anything better than getting Flight Simulator and immersing yourself in it. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. Earlier, Nick, you had mentioned, by the way, before we go on, Magnus, thank you for your feedback. He says, take care and have a lovely Christmas, Magnus Gladden. And we do appreciate that. So you were talking earlier, Nick, about, you mentioned a word, I think it was Valmet. I have some
that's right.
feedback from Matt. He said, I am a ham. Yeah, we all are here on the show. Oh, you mean a ham radio operator. So I often find myself scanning through the HF, the high frequency bands. I often come across the VOLMET, Vol-Met weather frequencies during these scans. This makes me wonder, how often do crews listen to these weather reports, and do they rely on these broadcasts for weather information? Has newer technology made these broadcasts obsolete? Yes. I've included a recording from the Trenton, Canada station for your listening pleasure. He put in parentheses, in quotations, pleasure, because it's kind of hard to listen to high frequency radio at times. You'll see why here. Let's take a listen.
Bridge. Ottawa, time 1000 Zulu, wind 290 at 10, visibility 15. few clouds. At 900, ceiling 3,600 broken, 5,000 broken, temperature 1, dew point -2, altimeter 2987. Bridge. Toronto, time 1000 Zulu.
So you
wind
hear all that
240
static, and
at 7.
it's very, very noisy.
Oh,
It's
the
kind of
signal
painful to listen
fades
to.
in and out, and yeah, and it always fades out just when you're getting to the vital piece of information that you're waiting for.
And here it is, and
yeah, and it's not going to come around again for another 20 minutes or so. So
Yeah, because they
very
do a bunch of different stations, right? It's not like it's just one station they're doing. They're doing
they're doing a whole
regional
region, and they're doing them in order. You can get them from your flight documents as to what the frequency is, etc. And if you miss the one you're after, you've got to wait for it to go through the whole list of them again, and come back all the time. You're just mindlessly listening to all that hash and crackle. It's dreadful.
Now, we listen to, sometimes we go to airports that are smaller and don't have digital automatic terminal information service, ATIS. So we have to actually tune in the VHF frequency, which is, trust me, a lot cleaner than an HF broadcast is. But if you're too far away, sometimes you'll get a bleed over from like an air traffic control frequency or whatever. And it always seems that that vital piece of information you need, because you have everything else, then somebody makes some kind of a transmission on an air traffic control frequency. Then you got to listen to the whole thing over again. It's not quite so bad as the Volmet thing, where they're covering a whole bunch of different airports. But
well, whenever I was a first officer, in those early days, trying to get that, and because the company was always very stingy, and they never wanted us to use our information, get the weather through the printer. Which would cost money. Every character that you downloaded you'd have to pay for. They said, "Well,
I wonder if that's really true."
HF, yeah, they were really screwed you. If you can get an HF, then we don't want you to use the ACARs. So I'd be sitting there with my hands on my ears trying to listen to this goddamn HF. And just when it came to the station you're interested, the cockpit door would fly open, and some young lady would come in and go, "What do you want for dinner, guys?" And and they start yakking away, and I'd be seemingly very rude with my hands on my ears, trying to ignore them and actually not hearing either conversation. So just a nightmare.
And that's the story of how he became the old curmudgeon.
Exactly, yes. That's why none of the girls would ever speak to me.
So, Steph, when you get, I guess most of the time when you're getting information like that, it's ASOS?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, local weather.
Or do you ever really venture far enough away from the home base that you really need to do that, right? You just left it, so you already know what the weather is.
Exactly. Yeah, usually we're very well familiar with what the weather actually is because we've been looking at it in great detail to plan jump run and everything else. And we know the winds all the way up to, about 14,000 feet and everything else. So.
Yeah, that really doesn't apply to you then, I guess.
But speaking of just the local CTAF frequency, when you do get up relatively high and you're trying to make radio calls for parachute jumpers and whatnot, it's almost impossible to get a word in edgewise because you're hearing everything from like a 200 nautical mile radius. Like we hear people from Florida and like out on the coast and in Georgia and all kinds of things. So you just have to assume that they're not going to hear you. Only anyone very, very close is going to hear you, and just kind of step on everyone and say what you need to say.
Just start talking.
Just start talking. Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. All right. And I guess the higher you get, the more interference you get, right?
Oh, the worse you get. It's almost unlistenable. Yeah. Like you just have to, it's like, no, I can't listen to this.
Yeah.
It's just constant. Everyone stepping on everyone else because they don't hear each other, but you can hear it.
Right. All right. Well, thank you, Matt, for sending us in that little clip of Volmet. And again, that's Matt Todd. Kilo Charlie Oscar. No, or that would be a 0, wouldn't it? Victor Romeo Victor. His ham radio call letters, I guess you'd say, right? I'm not a ham myself.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, continuing
That's quite a long
on.
one, actually. That's quite a mouthful, isn't it?
Thanks for noticing. Mike, I just said that, didn't I? You threw me off. Pilots and air traffic controllers may receive Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine with appropriate precaution. He said this is cut and pasted from FAA.gov. Following the emergency use authorization from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration for Pfizer Incorporated's COVID-19 vaccine, the FAA has determined that pilots may receive the vaccine under the conditions of their FAA-issued airman medical certification. FAA air traffic controllers who are subject to FAA medical clearance may also receive the vaccine. To maintain the highest level of safety in the national airspace system, the agency will require aviation professionals with medical certifications or medical clearances to observe a period of 48 hours following the administration of this vaccine before conducting safety-sensitive aviation duties such as flying or controlling air traffic. Because the Pfizer vaccine requires 2 doses, 21 days apart, for maximum effectiveness, this waiting period applies after each dose. The FAA anticipates taking no additional measures to ensure safety after the initial window for side effects closes. However, the agency's medical professionals will continuously monitor the initial distribution of the novel vaccine and documented clinical results and will adjust these recommendations as needed. The FAA will evaluate vaccines from other manufacturers as they receive FDA authorization in the coming weeks and months and will advise pilots and air traffic controllers of any waiting periods required for those vaccines. Let's see. The FAA applies similar brief waiting periods after administration of other vaccines, including those for tuberculosis and typhoid. Okay, so I think the category for folks like myself is 1B in the priority for authorization for the vaccine. 1A, I think, is the highest risk group.
It's generally like frontline healthcare workers, those who are in nursing homes or live in nursing homes or work there,
right,
and with certain medical conditions are the first in line. But yeah, the reason for this, people are going, well, this vaccine is safe and it has authorization. Why do we need a 48-hour waiting period? Well, it has to do with the way the vaccine actually works and how you might feel after you receive the vaccine. So in particular, the Pfizer vaccine and the Moderna ones, which are going to be the Pfizer one already available here in the U.S. and Moderna probably very soon. They use mRNA, which basically once it's inside your body, basically tells your cells to produce the little bit of spike protein that's on the surface of the virus itself. So you're not getting the virus, but you're basically giving your body instructions to manufacture that spike protein, on a temporary basis. But the body still recognizes that that's not supposed to be inside of you. And that's how you end up mounting that immune response and building immunity so that if you do get the virus, it recognizes that spike protein immediately and doesn't allow it to do bad things, make you sick, and all kinds of bad complications. But it also means you're still going to get an immune response to that spike protein that your body has manufactured. So you may feel not so great for 24, 48 hours afterwards. It's not uncommon to have low-grade fever, just kind of feel a little on the ill side. Mild flu-like symptoms are not uncommon. So hence the reason for the 48-hour waiting period. You don't want to go fly if you're feeling that way.
It doesn't feel like you have the full-blown flu or anything like that. It's just, you just kind of feel
So it can
off.
vary, and I'm not going to say whether, not having had the vaccine, I don't know. I do know folks who have been in the trials and believe they have received the vaccine and the symptoms that they've felt. And I will say you can feel pretty kind of pukey for, not throw up wise, but just not great for about 24 hours.
Makes me want to sign up for it right away.
Listen, I'm already signed up for it. I'm just waiting for them to call my name. I will be getting it as soon as I possibly can.
I can't wait.
I think 24 to 48 hours of feeling poorly to make sure that I don't have to actually be at risk of getting the actual virus is well worth it.
I mean, every week we spend 3 hours feeling pretty darn poorly when we're doing the show.
I don't feel so good right now. This is a side effect of APG.
You think we'd be immune by now.
Feeling like I'm going to throw up. Just kidding. That's good information. Thank you, Steph.
Yeah,
it's
but
interesting the way that
muscle aches,
works.
fatigue, low-grade fever are all common reaction to or I shouldn't say reaction or side effect, it's just common response to the vaccine. It's supposed to work that way.
How's the response to the vaccine differ from like a more traditional type of vaccine?
So this one's different in that you're not getting any either live or attenuated virus. That's kind of more traditional, along the traditional lines of vaccines, where you actually get a weakened, dead, or even, so weakened live virus or dead virus that your body then builds an immune response to. So you don't mount a full immune response to it as if you had gotten the actual illness. But there's enough in your system for your body to recognize, oh, hey, we need to, this is foreign, we don't want this in our body, build that immune response. This is a little different in that you're actually receiving those genetic instructions to manufacture that spike protein, but it's just the protein of the virus. It's not the actual virus itself. And your body does produce a pretty strong immune response to that.
Just a characteristic of the virus. Neil says, is it as effective as go around amoxicillin?
Actually, just as effective, fewer side effects. Less stomach cramps.
Yeah. That has a lot of stomach cramping.
Stomach cramps like 10 times.
Yeah, I have to say that was one of Brett's best ever.
Yeah. Yes, it was. Should I play just a little snippet of it right now? Okay, let me see if I can find it. I'll have to do a special search.
Oh, no.
I only have 10 minutes left, Liz says. Well, get off my back. Okay. Let's see. Go around. No, that's not going to work. I can't do that. Let's see. Just pretend that none of this is happening. I say that to the girls all the time. Just pretend. Never mind. Go around amoxicillin. I found it. Here we go.
Why, hello there. My name is Miami Hick, and I'm here to talk to you today about an embarrassing subject that no one likes to talk about, APG syndrome. Do you have a constant pain in your neck from always looking up at airplanes? Have you tried to grow your own Captain Jeff mustache? Do you think of Miami Rick every time you hear a cricket? Think of Captain Nick when you hear a frog croak. Think of Dana whenever you eat Boston baked beans. Do you think of Dr. Steph whenever you get stuck with a needle? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you are suffering from APG syndrome. Well, suffer no more. Introducing Go Around Amoxicillin. With only 36 daily doses of an easy-to-swallow pill, you can be free of your symptoms with Go Around Amoxicillin. Talk to your doctor today and find out if Go Around Amoxicillin is right for you. Like all medicine, Go Around Amoxicillin has side effects which include headache, nausea, vomiting, stomach bleeding, bleeding from the ears, nose, and eyes, uncontrolled diarrhea, stomach cramps, yellowing of the teeth, hair, and toenails, warts, hair loss, dry mouth, constipation, and stomach cramps.
You can see the side effects. I'm not really sure it's worth it. And 36 times a day.
I mean, convenient-ish.
So that's like every, 45 minutes or something like that. I haven't done the math, but it's something. It's less than an hour every hour. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, there's only 24
Very
hours
inconvenient
in the day, so 36 times a day. So, it's,
Yeah, it's got to be, I think I did that right. Like 45 minutes.
40-something minutes, let's call it that.
36 minutes? Yeah, no, 36 doses per day. Yeah, it's not a good thing. Anyway, they're working on it. Those scientists that were working on the Go Around Amoxicillin, they got taken off the task because of the, diverted because of the COVID thing. So hopefully after this all dies down, they'll start working on the Go Around Amoxicillin again. Yeah. All right. Mike says, do we want to do, Liz, we only have a few minutes left in the show. What should I do, you think? Okay. Oh, this is interesting. And I haven't gotten this to work. Have any of you on the crew been able to download this onto your Apple Watch and gotten it to work? Okay.
Oh, the app? I have not tried yet.
I've tried it, but I think I must have done something wrong because it's not showing up.
I will try it right now. How about that?
Okay. Excuse me. A beer is talking.
Oh, by the way, 40 minutes, every 40 minutes.
Thank you. I thought it was,
I said 40-something minutes.
Yeah.
No, not 40-something minutes.
Well, that was my rough math in my head without actually writing it down. So.
All right, we'll remember next time, Nick.
Not a mathematician.
Sheesh.
Doctor and
Party
pilot.
pooper.
Not math.
Right. Okay. Here we go. Okay, I'm doing number 12. Miklos, I guess. Dear Miklas? Dear APG crew, this is Miklas from Switzerland again. Hope you're all doing well. Instead of a flying job, as I've originally planned, thank you, COVID, I've been busy the last few months putting the finishing touches on the new app I've been working on. It's called Plane Watcher, all one word, PLANEWATCHER, and it's a flight tracking app designed specifically for the Apple Watch. To see how it works, please check out www.planewatcher.app. The app was launched last week, and it went straight to the number 10 spot on the U.S. top chart of the App Store in the travel category. In case anyone on the crew has an Apple Watch, Series 3 or higher, I think we all do, actually, except for maybe Rick. It's not going to work on his Breitling double, whatever you call that thing.
I think if you
locator,
hit the
emergency
watch hard
locator
enough,
beacon.
it'll work.
Yeah, maybe. But the rest of us have Apple Watches. So anyway, I've attached a couple of promo codes so you can download the app for free. Listeners of the show can send me a direct message on Twitter, and that's at plane, PLANE _watcher. At PLANE, plane _watcher. And that's on Twitter. I'll send them a promo code as well. Yeah, we'll put that in the show notes. But I think by the time it gets to the show notes, these are going to be gone. I'll send them a promo code as well. I've got 25 left. So first come, first served. Okay? So those of you who are in our live audience who have Apple Watch Series 3 or higher and are interested in this app, again, contact Miklos on Twitter at plane_watcher. And he says, as always, thanks for the amazing show. Wishing you all lots of flying and a wonderful Christmas. Best regards, Miklos. And he also gave some promo codes for the crew. And
thanks very much for that.
Yeah, very, very nice. And as I said, yeah.
I successfully redeemed the code. My app is now downloading.
Okay, very good. You know, I never got to that point, so I obviously screwed something up in the installation process. Neil, again, has a question, a very important question regarding go around acetylene. And Steph, maybe you'll be able to answer this. I'm not really sure. Is it swallowed or suppository?
Yes.
Oh, both.
Your choice.
No, 18 are
I
swallowed
thought you had
and
to put
18
it simultaneously in both ends.
Well,
could be.
Yes. That's if you really want full efficacy.
Yeah.
And extra stomach cramps.
Well, that's why the stomach
Our chat room is
cramps
right.
appear twice. Yeah.
Look at this one. We're talking getting back to Plane Watcher app. iHaul Boxes says the airplanes in the sky will point to Rick's watch.
Also true.
Okay.
Oh man, you guys are cracking us up. Okay. So yeah, we're going to check that out, and we'll report back on how this app works. And obviously, it must be pretty darn good if it got to the number 10 spot on the U.S. top chart of the App Store in the travel category. That's very, very cool. Good luck with your endeavor, Miklos.
Absolutely,
and,
yeah.
And we'll, as I said, I must have screwed something up, so I'll try to do that again. I
Mine
keep
said it
looking
was
for that.
downloading, and then
See
it
that?
did not. Oh. Okay.
Yeah, see that's.
Hold on.
Yeah, where
I have to go
do
back.
you find it after it's downloaded?
You have to go back and actually confirm.
I never did that. Okay.
User error.
Yeah, user error for sure. So sorry about that. It was nothing that Miklos did. Okay. And how many more minutes, Liz, do we have? Okay, we'll do 13. We have some audio feedback from Martinsburg Matt. And take it away, Martinsburg Matt.
Hello, APG crew. This is Matt Peters from Martinsburg, West Virginia. I actually got my pilot's license back in 2014 while going to school for electronics engineering. My plan at that time was to pursue an aviation career and just use my engineering degree as a resume booster. But I ended up taking up engineering as a career path and now only fly for fun or as a passenger for work. Like a lot of folks in the Eastern Panhandle, I actually commute into the West Virginia, Washington, D.C. metro area for work. I found APG about a year ago while trying to find a way to pass the time on my long commutes. I've started to try to work back through some of the older episodes. Haven't got too far with that yet. I actually fly frequently out of Dallas, India Alpha Delta. And in the past, I've been on several Acme Mad Dogs, possibly with Jeff at the controls. Anyway, I never planned to send any feedback in, but the last episode I listened to, I think it was 452, you played audio of a meetup you had with a Captain Craig. That clip piqued my interest because Captain Craig mentioned he was a C-17 pilot for the 167th Airlift Wing. The 167th actually occupies the north side of my home airport, which is Kilo Mike Romeo Bravo, the Eastern West Virginia Regional Airport. I frequently rent airplanes from the Aerosmith Flight Center. It's now Bravo Aviation. I believe they just got bought out. But anyway, it's located on the south side of the field. And I've spent many a traffic pattern with the C-17 while extending my downwind, doing 360-degree turns, all that, to avoid the wake turbulence. Martinsburg is generally Class Delta airspace, but when the tower closes down on the weekends, it can be very attention-getting and interesting to hear a C-17 calling in on the CTAF. I occasionally practice my spot landings on the little white box they have at the approach end of runway 26. They use that box, I think, to practice their short touch and goes for dropping off cargo. They don't usually drop the cargo off actually on the runway, though. When they do that, they note them the runway closed, so we can't fly with them. But anyway, I just wanted to say that you have at least one APG listener in the Martinsburg area. And Captain Craig, hopefully I'll see you around sometime or hear you around sometime on the radio. Captain Jeff, maybe I'll get to ride out of Dallas with you someday on your 717. Thanks again for the great show. Happy flying, tailwinds, all that. Martinsburg Matt, signing off.
That'd be awesome, Martinsburg Matt. And I used to be a destination, quite common destination for the Mad Dog. And now most of the airports that we're going to are the ones that I'm used to flying to. And the 717 never really did. And now they're kind of flying to the same places. So yes, IAD, Dulles International is definitely one of those places where I'll be flying in and out of. So hopefully we'll get a chance to meet up sometime. That'll be fun.
And hopefully he gets a chance to meet up with Captain Craig. He's
and Captain Craig, just so everybody understands, he was just accepted or hired by the unit in Martinsburg, and it'll be a while before he's going to be up there in his C-17. He's got to go through the equivalent of an officer training school, kind of actually, I guess the actual officer training school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then he goes through undergraduate pilot training, and or a modified version of that. And so it's probably going to be a year and a half, 2 years or so before, once he initiates that, before he's out there and with the unit and starting to fly the C-17. But great airplane, great unit, and great guy, Captain Craig. So yeah, you'll enjoy spending time with Captain Craig for sure. And
I'm glad to see that Nick figured out, excuse me, how to rejoin us. I feel like he was having a little bit of trouble there for a moment, or I sensed he was.
Yeah.
I can't hear him,
fortunately for us, he's still muted and we can't hear him.
Damn, hit my button.
See, the more I lost my voice for some reason, the more complex the interfaces become, the trickier it is to remember to do all the things.
You think an A340 guy would be able to figure this stuff out, but he'd be wrong.
We only have one button.
That's true. This is much more complicated. It really is, actually. Yeah. So that's going to be it, I believe, for today's episode. And just have a couple of ones that we weren't able to get to on today's show. And we'll roll those over to the next episode, which will be sometime next week. I guess next week is the week of Christmas, isn't it? Yeah. So most likely earlier in the week, I'm guessing, for the next show, unless we decide to take the week off. But I'm not planning on doing that. And let's see. So if you are new to the show and you like what you hear and you want to learn more about it, especially more about this great community, please head over to the Airline Pilot Guy website, which is airlinepilotguy.com. And we've got a lot of good stuff there. I'm not going to go into it. Just check it out. You'll love it. And we also are on social media, or what we like to call the social medias.
Let's see if I found my voice. Hey, there it is. So you can head over to Twitter. We are at APG Crew. You can find all of our individual Twitter handles pinned to the top of that page as well. On Instagram, also at APG Crew. And if Facebook is more your speed, we're Airline Pilot Guy at Facebook. Or, yeah.
Something to that effect. I don't know.
I don't either. Total brain fart.
Facebook.com.
Yeah, Facebook.com/Airline Pilot Guy. There we go. That sounds better. That sounds a lot better. Yeah.
All right.
Man, I have one job around here and I can't even get that right.
Just remember Airline Pilot Guy.
Yeah, you'll be
word,
fine.
And that'll pretty much cover most everything.
Point you in the right direction.
It will. It will. And, if you can't find it on that particular platform, then, you shouldn't be on that platform.
No.
Yeah.
Try Slack instead.
Yeah, try Slack. Hey, good idea. So Hillel is the guy that started the Slack team for the APG and manages it. And sadly, I don't get there as often as I should, so I do apologize for that. But you should check it out. And here's some information from Hillel about how to do that.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas, we suggest episode and plain tales topics, we plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo @airlinepilotguy.com, or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
Thanks, Hillel.
Can you get me a roll of toilet paper?
Yeah, after the show. All right. Stay seated. Stay seated. We'll be right with you. All right. Yeah, and also we can't go leave the show without thanking our wonderful producer-director, Liz Piper, up in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. She does an amazing amount of work and does her best. It doesn't always work, but to make us look and sound like we know what we're talking about. So thank you, Liz. Oh, that was a great fade. Sorry. It'll be better in post. And with that, wishing you all clear skies, unlimited visibility, and tailwinds. Take care, and God bless.
Cheers, y'all.
Bye, everybody. See you next
Merry
week.
Christmas. I meant to pick out some Christmas music to play. Maybe, let's do that. Let's everybody go to YouTube Music Library and pick out a Christmas song, and then we'll try to remember to play them next week, or pieces of it, so that we don't get in trouble.
I'll send you my favorite Christmas. Oh,
well, if it's YouTube,
no, you got to do it
library,
yourself.
Then that's no problem, is it?
Yeah, just go to Christmas on the YouTube.com/audio library. I think is the yeah, and then no, we're not asking Steph to sing, Liz. Don't worry.
No, it doesn't matter if you did. I would refuse.
Well, we get enough IPAs in her, she might actually sing.
Oh, yeah.
You're not wrong.
She's thinking, you're not wrong. Anyway, let me turn off the recorder. I think it sounded all good to me from my end, so don't worry about sending any audio files to me.
Okay.
But don't throw them away yet, just in case.
Well,
okay.
Consider I never started it. I'm hoping you started yours.
I started mine.
That's right. We didn't, Liz, mentioned that we didn't do the clapper board thing. And you know what? Honestly, I don't really need it. I don't really need that, actually, to be honest. Unless we are using the individual files. And then, even then, I can still figure out where everything starts. So I hate to pop your bubble, but it really is not a critical thing. So.
Sorry, I'm just listening to some Christmas music here.
I found a great one, Jeff.
Okay.
They don't have the one that I wanted in the audio library.
I don't know how to play it for you, but we
That's
wish
right.
you a Merry Christmas. Ease Jammy Jams. It's
Just send me like a link to that or something, or the. Okay, I better just look for it now, so that we don't lose that.
You can play it. On
Oh, that's right. I could.
You can do that with
Yeah, I'm all set up to do that. Audio library. Okay. We wish you a Merry. I'm almost there.
There aren't that many, so if you just put title track containing Christmas as a filter.
Okay.
We wish you a Merry Christmas instrumental jazz.
I don't want a video.
No.
Why is it doing that? Audio library. I don't want to search across my channel. How do I search the...
Sorry, this has nothing to do. This one has nothing to do with Christmas. I'm just gonna. It was just on the main page of the audio library.
Okay.
But I'm just gonna take a picture of it and send it to you guys because it cannot be. I probably shouldn't say it on.
Okay. So we don't want. It's not an explicit rated show, right?
No, it's not really explicit, but it just.
Oh.
I don't know. You'll see in a second.
Okay, so I see two at the Ease Jammy Jams. One's a little bit longer. Okay,
Yeah.
Here we go.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish
Got it,
you
Steph.
a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you
It was just the first thing, like my eyes went straight there. I was like, that's odd.
Very good.
I think you should play it, Jeff.
Okay.
I bet it doesn't have any lyrics, I don't know. Should I play it first here?
All right. Okay. Nice thing about playing this music from the audio library is YouTube won't send me a nasty letter and take the video down. At least I don't think they will. Okay. It's one of our favorite Christmas songs.
So weird. The mood of this song is angry.
I can see why you chose it.
This has nothing to do with
It's a
Christmas, by the way.
headbanger, I think so.
It has nothing to do with Christmas.
Hey,
It was,
Steph.
I was just amused by the track title, which Jeff can share
And-
or not,
You want me to tell him the title of this?
if you want.
Cat
Put your
Shat in the
fingers in your
Box.
ears.
Cat Shat in the Box. Nothing wrong with that.
Artist
There's nothing.
interpretation.
Yeah. Okay. What else do we want to play? Oh, Liz is asking for help with title suggestions from the chat room. Show titles, submissions. Let's see. In the meantime, I'll see if I can find something or do a search here. Oh, it helps if I put it in the right field. Ooh, I always like this one. Okay, I'm bored already.
Christmas Bear.
What did you say, Liz?
Christmas Bear.
Bonied what?
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 Boney Am. The heck is that?
Boney. Oh, God.
Yeah, I've had
Rasputin.
Boney Ham.
They sang that song about Rasputin, lover of the Russian queen.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites. So.
I like this.
This and Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy. Fairies.
Okay. Very nice. I saw 3 ships, and the cat shat in the box.
See, it's impossible not to laugh when you think about it. I have no idea why.
But it's best for the cat to shat in the box and not on the floor.
Well, yes.
Yeah, but in polite circles.
Mm-hmm. I like this audionautics. They have some good stuff. All right. Good. We'll play some of that on the next show. How about? Okay. Did we come up with a... my title suggestion is Cat Shat in the Box.
My suggestion is Bear Christmas. Let's have a look. Bear Christmas Bear, if you remember.
Jeff's Snow Job.
Snow Job.
Wow, that kind of excited me a little bit. Oh,
we're on a segue.
Well, I have had a snow job.
Yeah, there were
actually,
lots of segues.
It was pretty recent, actually, this morning.
Snow job.
I know what you meant. Now, I don't want to make it a Jeff thing. Although I do love that clip that you guys sent me last night. The Jeffrey.
Oh yeah, that was Rick's doing.
Hey Rick. That was funny.
I hadn't seen that movie in a long time.
Definitely laughing out loud in my room. Anyway, so how are we doing here? Anybody giving us any good taxiway slips and slides?
We're on a
segue.
I do like that.
Wingnut. Oh, I didn't see that yet. Where's that? Wingnut. Is that it? Just wingnut? Oh, the nut that's on the wing. Ah, gotcha. I was thinking of the little thing that you put on a bolt, like the little wing nut.
With the wings on the...
Ah, the old... Oh, that's very clever. Liz is so smart and clever. A wing nut, play on words. More than one meaning kind of thing. David Hicken has a nice Carol of the Bells piano piece. Well, I'm sure that David Hicken does I Hollow Boxes, but it's not in the YouTube audio library, and that means they'll slap me with some kind of a copyright violation.
I mean, because really I want You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch.
Yeah, I'd love to play that.
But it's not in the audio library.
No. Take of your tie and stay a while. Oh, take off your tie and stay a while. Tie, like in tie.
Was there some news article with tie stuff? I know they had you take your,
Yeah, my
take off your
tie.
and
I think
loosen
Mark
up,
said, Mark Van Ram. One of the Van Ram brothers. It's always trouble. Yeah. Buy something. Buy Coastal, yeah. We're on a segue. The segue episode. No. Wingnut. Something about the guy on the wing. Yeah, that might be a good one. I don't know. I don't think he's paying attention. He's ignoring us.
He is.
I'm not. I'm typing down all these suggestions.
Oh.
Are you really?
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
Well, it's true. Honest.
Okay. All right.
Taxiway slips and slides. That's actually, that could apply to all of those things, Micah. That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Or just slip and slide.
Taxiway slip and slide. Off the
Have
onto the...
Do you have that in the UK? Slip and slide?
No.
That's a shame.
No.
Slip and slides are great.
I don't know if
they're a great way to injure yourself too.
Yeah, see. Yeah, sure. He was writing this stuff down. He's just playing. I can tell when he's playing.
Look. See,
oh, okay. Except for it's backwards for some reason. That's weird.
God. Why is it backwards?
I don't know. Shouldn't do that.
You make me download these stupid things, and then
I did not make you
work.
download it.
There you go.
Oh, okay. Look at that. He really was.
See.
How did you already print that?
No, it's the sticky note.
Oh, it's a sticky on the screen. It looked like it was a real sticky note. Duh.
Very realistic graphics these days, Jeff.
It
Very
really
realistic.
was.
Absolutely.
I'm just losing my mind, that's all. Okay, Liz says, let's
I
cut
can be
this
upside
broadcast
down,
thing.
right?
Ah, look at, he's doing some inverted flight.
Nah.
Yeah, very
I'm
cool.
getting dizzy.
All right. Well, everybody. Yeah. Liz says,
Just hit your knee on the table.
As long as you're not demonstrating the P-pack, Liz says, we're going to be okay.
Well, I can see up my nostrils. Oh, look.
That's a nice view.
I mean, really, probably we should just cut the feed before.
Yeah, before we get
see
into too much
parts
trouble.
of Nick's anatomy.
Put
that
your
are
pants
more
back on,
questionable
man.
than his nostrils.
You are so mean.
More orifices.
Nick's Orifices. That's the title. Okay, good. We got it. All right. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us again. And stay tuned to the APG calendar and the social medias to find out when we're going to be doing this again next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.